food to give them. There is no clean water. These dogs are going to starve to death. I have to do the humane thing. I have to put these dogs down.
O'Brady Shaw is the only journalist compassionate enough to do what has to be done.
Put down 50 or 60 dogs today. I didn't want to.
Let me help you!
But their fate would have been much worse if I hadn't done it.
It's better this way.
O'Brady Shaw goes where other reporters won't and does the jobs other reporters can't.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Gut Check with O'Brady Shaw. Live from Sao Paulo. Tomorrow night, only on the Onion News Network.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
And we're back. You know, you would think that as many times as I've sat in this first chair and had to do all of the things to prepare to do the show that
we'd be ready.
Yeah, that, like I'd remember to press the one button that gets the music. There was just a second of silence or so as the music was starting that, you know, that was because I didn't press a button correctly or, you know, look over and, you know, check and make sure it was completely ready.
One day the Sunday show will be as professional as the other 6 days.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think not so much.
I like it better this way.
Like it's the Sunday show. It's a little more casual and relaxed, and you know, it's not as even professional, but also I don't know, self-important.
Okay,
you know, like we're just it's Sunday, man. You know,
we definitely don't talk about like the hard-hitting real news of the week.
No, but I mean, we still want like peace and liberty and freedom and, you know, nonviolence and prosperity for everybody, you know, that kind of a thing. But like at the same time, you know, we're gonna do Sundays different. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Captain's log stardate 01222023. I am your host. What was I going to add?
Oh, I forget.
Oh, damn it.
Good.
No, come
Good.
on.
No.
Very professional, guys.
No, because Ian came in and he gave him something. I said, don't call him that.
Yeah.
Because he's going to add
totally
that to the
remembers
title.
Too.
No, I
just
don't. I really don't. I don't.
I was going to, well,
start with an A.
Yeah, all right, whatever. Anyway, it's the Lord Doctor, Reverend Captain Kick-Ass Buckshot Esquire, if you will, in the first chair, bringing you the show. Joining me as co-hosts this evening,
it's Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
The name of the show is
Free Talk Live.
The phone number is
603-283-6160.
What do the listeners need to do?
Call in or just listen.
Preferably call in.
So, yeah. And, you know, thank you for listening, and thank you for calling in, of course. But, yeah, the phones are open. It's an open phone show. Free Talk Live is what it's called, and that's why we're here. We do try and bring you stuff, you know, opinions from the perspective of liberty, freedom, peace, you know, prosperity, that kind of stuff. But we have a story that I want to get to, but Nikki has to take a field trip sort of during this segment, and so we're going to just tease that we're going to talk about the Blonsky device a little later. The Blonsky device is...
No, tease it.
Cutting edge.
Cutting edge, yeah.
Is a spinning machine invented...
I was just giving it away.
To make muffins.
Is that what you're doing? You're making muffins?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
All right. No, we'll tell you more about the Blonsky device later in the show.
And we pulled the story, right? And we go like, Nikki, we brought this one for you. And she goes, oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
of course.
Ironically enough. Yeah. We were like, oh, I bet you Nikki's never heard of this.
Right.
And she's like, oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
And we're like,
And with the cutting edge technology, like, we've got to let her know.
Is it cutting edge? I haven't read the article, so I don't know. You read it?
We just said it's cutting edge, so we're going to stick with that.
Spinning edge.
Spinning edge.
We'll get around to it a couple of times.
Here at Free Talk Live, we love gravity.
See?
So once upon a time, I was handed it was a piece of construction paper cut into a circle, and it was labeled round as one word, and like sort of on the top, like Top Rockers, and then on the bottom it said TUIT, and it said, congratulations, this is around to it. And so all of the things you've been putting off and saying that you will get them done when you get around to it, you can now officially accomplish because here, you've been handed a round to it.
Oh, I need one of those.
We'll try and get you one. We'll see if we can order them
Thank you. I
online.
could really
or
use
something.
it.
Make one. Or
I mean,
something,
it didn't seem all that difficult. Do we really need construction paper, or is printer paper good enough?
I think we could probably just draw a circle and label it round to it, hand it to Nikki, and she'd have one. Here, would you like? Here, have a sheet of paper. It's Arts and Crafts Day here at Free Talk Live. Richie Rich will be doing the art and the craft.
I will be doing the round to it.
When he gets around to it, he'll be doing the round to it. Meanwhile, back in story.
Can finally do everything I'm putting off. This is great.
You got around to it.
She's got around to it.
Wow.
It's not on me, but
Well, congratulations.
It'll get around to it.
On getting around to it.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you, everyone.
I think that might be the first round to it ever presented here on Free Talk Live. You know, so there you go. She's holding it up for those who are
historical day here on Free Talk Live
over at
because that's what
watch.freetalklive.com. Yes.
Block Nikki's face on camera.
Right.
You too can get around to it. If you
mail a self-addressed stamped envelope.
If you just simply go to amps.freetalklive.com, I think we could probably make sure that Richie Rich photocopies this one, several hundred times, so that if you are an amplifier, we can give you a round to it as well.
You know what? If we do that, we're turning them into NFTs.
There's another joke in there somewhere. There's a bet NFT.
We will have we will have the round to it. You will get the NFT to the round to it here in the studio.
Okay. All right. Yes. Yeah. As they're awarded, we'll keep. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
That's good. I like that.
You will have ownership of this round to it, but you will never possess it.
Can you give it to somebody else?
You can transfer the NFT.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's the NFT scam. Right? That's the money laundering in NFTs. They sell the NFT.
Right, yeah.
Right? And then hopefully they're not the one holding
It's like they do with overpriced art. They're like, yes, I spent $10 million on this overpriced piece of art. And then they give it to another guy, and then he turns around and sells it for the $10 million, and he gets the cash. And yeah.
Right. But then the guy who gets the art, like, what is it really worth?
Well, I mean, it's just the vehicle used to transfer that amount of money again later.
For art, yes, and that's what NFTs can be used for. But currently, NFTs is like, we just sell it back and forth until the value's high enough. Then we'll pawn it off on this schmuck.
Right.
And he'll be the one stuck with like the
somebody
NFT.
Gets stuck holding the bag. Yeah,
right.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
And then they try to relate that to all of crypto, and then I get upset.
That is kind of what happened with Dogecoin, though. Kind of.
The meme coins.
They pumped it up, and then it's like, everybody buy it.
Same
and
thing
then,
with Shiba.
I'm going to sell it all, so I'm
Shiba
rich now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, if you fell for that with Dogecoin, I don't feel as bad, right? Because Dogecoin was a meme coin to begin with.
What if somebody
it was
made
meant
money
to
on
make
it?
fun?
What if like I saw what was going on and I threw some money at Doge and I ended up on the plus side?
Yeah,
That's fine.
I know a lot of people that happened to.
I'm just saying, how do you feel about that? You're like, I feel like if you lost money in Doge, that's but how do you feel about somebody who made money in Doge?
I'm also fine if you made money.
Oh, yeah.
So at one point in time, I know a guy, right? And we were talking
you sound
about
like a street thug now. I know a guy.
I know a guy. And we were talking about this Dogecoin thing, all right? And he goes like, no, Doge is totally viable as an investment. I go, how? He goes, look at Doge right now. It was like 0.000003.
Right.
It was like, if I put like $10,000 into Doge, right, and it drops down to 1, I've only lost like 2/3 of my money, right? And fine, whatever, no big deal. But if it goes up, if it doubles,
yeah,
right, and all of a sudden, like, and he's like, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm putting in a buy order like right now. I'm like, whoa, all right, fine. But when it was that low, there was no real big downside loss. It was only upside.
Right.
So if you got in pre-pump and they pumped it over $1,
yeah,
right, from 0.00000 whatever to over $1, right, that was your overnight get-rich-quick scheme if you could pull it off.
Okay, Nikki left, so we can talk about her for a while until she gets back if we want to, because she had to go on her field trip. What are we going to talk about?
I heard she makes bread.
Oh, my God, she does, actually.
Nikki's bread.
Although I was under the impression that she made it herself, but she tells me that it's actually Matt's sourdough starter.
Okay. I mean,
that, so Matt is a cook or was a cook at some point in his life. And so, he knows. And so I was under the impression that she made the bread and she gave me the bread. She did give me the bread, but she didn't make the bread.
But if Matt just uses
Pretty
the starter.
sure Matt made the bread too.
Okay, so it's not just his starter. He's like, this is Matt's bread.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he baked the bread as well.
Okay.
Because then later on, after I told her it was good, and we had another show here, we're talking in between the breaks, she was like, oh yeah, I think Matt actually made that loaf. And I was like, oh, so it didn't even come from you.
That would make sense.
But like I was under the impression that it did come from her.
If I were Matt, I wouldn't have bought that mixer for Nikki. I would have bought that mixer for myself.
Well, I mean, okay, right?
It's a good mixer.
Yeah.
It's not Nikki good, but it's a good mixer. Oh, she's back.
So the Dogecoin.
Dogecoin.
I actually made money on because I got into it at a good time. And, I didn't make that much, right? I don't know, $20 or something was my profit. But, because I was just dabbling, right? I would do that whenever some kind of a coin or something would come out. I bought way too many of these ERC tokens.
Okay.
When Ethereum was just, sort of, and every day there was a new token and I'd throw $2 at it, $5, right? That kind of a thing.
If you're throwing away money, fine.
Hoping that one of the, it'd be like the equivalent of a regular person at the convenience store buying a lottery ticket every day.
Right.
Right. That's
I'm okay with that.
I'm going to do this thing because I have better odds at making money than buying a lottery ticket, doing this with crypto or tokens or whatever. And so I did that. But most of those ERC tokens never made me any money.
Right, just like a lottery ticket, most of them won't make you any money.
Right, but I did make money off Doge, and then another thing I made money off was the FIO protocol.
Okay.
This is something internal to the Edge wallet, and what it does is it allows you to have a vanity address to receive crypto. Yeah. So, for example, you can send me most of we'll call them the top 10 cryptos. I think I accept most of the top 10 cryptos in my Edge wallet, and if you wanted to pay me, you could just send cryptocurrency to Kickass at Edge.
Right.
Instead of putting in the whole 1x25xz47byq.
Instead of copying and pasting, because that's
or scanning the QR
hard.
code or whatever,
Mine's
right?
Nikki Sunshine, if anybody wants to send me crypto.
Nikki Sunshine.
At Edge.
At Edge.
At Edge, yeah. Right, yeah.
I haven't set one up yet.
So you
got to pay for it.
It actually came in handy tonight because I was trying to tip the waiter at dinner who happens to have a crypto wallet. And I said, hey, I usually tip you in BCH, but I'd like to send you BTC tonight. Can I send it to the same address? He's like, yep. I'm like,
nice.
Sweet, because I didn't know for sure it was an Edge.
Yeah.
Like there are other services that provide these vanity addresses and such. So I just wanted to make sure.
Easy peasy, though.
But yeah, it was perfect. I'm like, oh, great.
I mean, if that's how you're doing it, fine. But you got to, in my mind, I don't know if this is factually accurate, right? But Dogecoin is like the third cryptocurrency ever, right? It's like Bitcoin and then Litecoin. And then, you know what? Let's just make fun of these other two. Doge.
Right.
And then all the other ones just kind of followed suit, and they all suck for the most part. But they're all, in my opinion, they're
Except
all.
for Monero.
Okay, yeah, okay. But even Monero doesn't keep up, right? Like, if you're looking for.
That's not true. I really like Dash too because Dash allows me to, I can transduce any crypto obviously into Dash or into any other crypto through a variety of ways, through either exchanges or through wallets connecting to exchanges or decentralized exchanges. Once you're in the digital domain, it's easy to transduce one crypto into another. Right. What I like about Dash is that Dash is the fastest and most complete provider through the gift card on-ramps and off-ramps.
Okay.
That is to say, I can go to Home Depot, fill up my cart with a bunch of stuff that I need to, fix my house up and, make it nice and that kind of thing. And when it comes time to check out, on the Home Depot computer screens, the touch screens, you just go gift card, and it spits out a total. It gives you a QR. You go into your Dash Direct, and you go Home Depot, and you scan the thing, and it gives you the total. If you have your Dash wallet on the same device, and it'll actually open your Dash wallet, go get the amount of funds, give you a couple of chances to confirm the amounts and that kind of thing, and bam, 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 and it's done, and it's fast. It is so fast. So I have use for Dash as well because it allows me to...
As a spendable currency.
It allows me to spend Dash using the gift card transducement technique at places like Home Depot and restaurants and other stores and stuff like that.
And as we talked about at dinner, right, I will start spending my crypto when places stop taking bad money.
Yeah. So my problem with that is I can't do that because I'm heavy on crypto. I'm light on USD.
Okay.
And so much so that occasionally I run out of USD. And I'm like, oh, got to get some USD somehow. So having the ability to spend my crypto just comes in handy because then I don't necessarily have to go and sell some crypto to get some USD. I can just spend it.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. I have a normal job, pays me in USD, and occasionally I have to transduce that into crypto after I've paid my bills for the month.
Right.
Right, but all the other major spendings, right? It's like, take the bad money, please, because I don't want it. I want the goods that you have.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I feel too. I'm like, I don't want this stuff. Just take it.
I'm trying to only use USD when it's necessary. So we're on the same wavelength with, the priority, right? So, but not everywhere.
I will use USD for everything, unnecessary things even, just to get,
because you have enough. You have a surplus of it, right? Whereas I don't.
Right.
So. So at any rate, now that Nikki's back from her field trip, was that the only one you have to take?
That's it.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, good.
They smell delicious, by the way.
The muffins are out of the oven. Figure out what that means, FBI. The muffins are out of the oven.
Wink, wink.
There's a joke in there
well,
somewhere,
honestly,
too.
They're probably watching me through the window, so.
Oh, and
they know exactly what I'm doing.
And also over at watch.freetalklive.com. Where there's other people.
Why is she doing cranberry walnut tonight? We've been feeding her feeds in her news feed of raisin almonds.
Yeah, we don't understand.
They know I hate raisins.
Did you hear that through the grapevine?
Wow.
Well, I put them on the windowsill, and
that's a meta joke.
Raisins.
You had to know who the California raisins are. You had to know that there was a commercial where they did the song "Heard It Through the Grapevine" as the California. Yeah,
she's too young.
She probably knew it vicariously.
Might have.
Find it on YouTube.
Yeah. Heard it through the grapevine.
I know that song, but.
So I don't know where to start. Should we start with the one we teased?
Yeah,
well, we teased that we would.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is.
We should have a new feature with Nikki though, like the metal shirt of the week or something.
Yeah, we have Megadeth.
Megadeth, yes, which I'd like to remind everybody is spelled with only one A in the mega part, no A in the death part. So,
I actually just realized.
No wonder I can't
recently.
torrent their albums.
Yeah, although most search engines will be like, "Did you mean?"
Yeah.
Megadeth?
Just joking.
Yeah. What were you saying about your shirt? Something?
No, I just said Built for Speed. I think that was the last thing I was meaning to say.
What album is that shirt from?
I don't know if Built for Speed is.
I don't know that that's an album.
I don't think so. I don't think it's from an album.
Huh.
That's what I thought, but then I was like, maybe there's an album
maybe it's
I'm
a
missing.
Song.
I don't think so.
I used to know more about Megadeth than a human being should, but then the 90s rolled around. Yeah. And
the Blonsky device, or the Blonsky. Blonsky.
Right, the Blonsky device, not blonde ski, not like a Swiss lady in the Alps. The blonde ski device, no.
I mean, I'd take that too.
This is from a site called, I don't even know what this is, globalwarming-arclean.blogspot.com. Where do you find this crap?
Super random.
Oh. Terraforming Terra.
Hey, our expert already knew about it, sir.
Oh, that's just a comment on what they try and post here. So it is. Okay, the Blonsky device. This is supposed
describe it for us.
Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. I just want to take a look at this picture real quick because, I see. Okay. A spinning machine invented to fling babies out of pregnant people.
Emphasis on the people, not women. People.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just had to point that out.
Pregnant people. This actually has not been attempted at all, not least because it is also obviously dangerous. Can it be made safe? Yes, it does address a very real problem in which most modern women are physically poorly suited for childbirth for lack of strength and effective biological design. My first thought is...
modern women are weak.
And ineffectively designed.
So this is the thing. I have 2 points on this. So I think most of it is just modern medicine trying to be like, no, you can't have a baby normally. We have to, do a major abdominal surgery on you or, use all these drugs and stuff. But also, I have, based on my research, out of all of the mammals on Earth, it is the most difficult for human, like the birth process for human beings is the most difficult due to brain size, head size versus pelvis. So for us to be so smart or whatever and be upright on 2 legs where most mammals are on 4, that is...
Yeah, but that difference in difficulty can't be that big. I mean, I've seen farm families with, 13 kids and that kind of thing.
Well,
like,
so
she's got childbearing hips.
So the thing is, it's more difficult. So the birth process is more painful, longer, and more difficult, which is true. But it's not impossible.
Okay.
You can still naturally bear 13, 15 kids, and it's totally fine.
So again, totally out of my element. But there's I'm going to say speculation on the internet, because I've heard this argument before, right? That it's mostly the way that modern women give birth is like on their backs, feet up in the stirrups, and that is to make it easier for the doctors and attending physicians
That's absolutely
than
correct.
it is on the mother. And if you birth naturally, it becomes a much different process.
So there was a king, I forget who it was, maybe like King Louis or something like that. But that was first invented because he liked watching his women give birth.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it started.
The patriarchy in action again.
So, yes. So that's where it came from, but it is so much more difficult because if you use your common sense, gravity.
Yeah.
It's just easier to have a baby either squatting or kneeling on your hands and knees. If you leave a woman to her own devices, those are the positions she's most likely to get into naturally.
Get down on all fours like other mammals.
Yeah, it's not impossible to have a baby on your back, and sometimes that is the best position for certain women, but...
Okay, so I just looked up record number of babies or births by one woman, and I came upon this
30s.
Article from therichest.com. Are you part of this?
No, not me.
No? Oh, okay. So you're not part of the richest?
I wish I were the 1%.
I thought all riches were part of the richest.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take it.
He's not a real rich.
Okay. Oh, he's not a real rich?
I guess not.
You're not authentic rich? You're just rich.
That's the
rich?
word. Authentic.
Authentic. Anyway, this article talks about TFR, total fertility rates, but they have the top 10, apparently, according to this article. Number of babies by women. Number 10, Mary Jonas, 33 children.
Oh, that's number 10?
Number 10 is 33
Wow.
children. Yeah. In the 1800s, there lived in Foregate Street, England, a furniture dealer by the name Mary Jonas. She died in 1899 at the age of 85. She was laid to rest with her husband, John Jonas. Their gravestone contains an interesting claim. The engraving reads, John Jonas, who died 24th February 1992, age 78, also Mary Jonas, the beloved wife of the above, and mother of 33 children, who died December 4th, 1895, aged 85.
Wow.
Number 9, Mrs. Harrison, 35 children. So, a couple more.
All right.
Couple more.
Imagine having 35 kids.
No.
That just sounds like it sucks.
I can't.
I can't imagine having like one.
So be nicer to your school teachers.
Like I know of.
They didn't have to birth them though.
Oh yeah,
I know of a couple that, they were trying to have 3 or 4, right? And so they would, get pregnant, have the baby, and try and get pregnant as soon as possible.
No, bad idea.
After that, and that's what they did.
Irish
though.
twins or
don't do
something.
it.
Whatever that's. Is it Irish? Is that the term?
603-283-6160. Have you had a record number of babies? Do you know somebody who has more than 35? Give us a call. This is Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting at a ballroom dance studio in a city about 8 miles east of Los Angeles. Authorities have been searching for a suspect following the incident on Saturday night, which occurred over a Lunar New Year weekend event in Monterey Park, which attracts thousands of people to the area. Sunday's festivities were cancelled after the shooting, in which at least 5 men and 5 women were killed. Earlier, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna gave this update on the investigation.
There is a male suspect that fled the scene and remains outstanding, described as a male Asian.
That was according to early information which identified the suspect as aged between 30 and 50 years old. Monterey Park has a significant Asian American population. It's one of the largest in the United States. But officials said the motive for the gun attack, which wounded at least 10 others, is still not clear. Police are looking into whether or not the shooting was connected to another incident that occurred around 17 minutes later at a nearby city of Alhambra, where witnesses at a dance venue said an Asian man had walked in with a gun. No one was harmed, and the suspect reportedly fled in a white van after people managed to take the weapon away from him. Police later released a photograph of the suspect wearing glasses, a beanie and a black leather jacket. SWAT teams have since been involved in a standoff with a white cargo van in Torrance, south of Monterey Park, that could be connected to the shooting. Chris Hipkins, the man chosen by New Zealand's Labour Party to replace Jacinda Ardern, says tackling inflation will be at the top of his agenda. He's due to officially become the country's next Prime Minister from Wednesday after Ardern stunned the world by announcing she was stepping down. In a series of interviews on Sunday, Hipkins said he would focus on what he called bread and butter issues, such as the cost of living. The Labour Party is currently behind in the polls, with some suggesting Labour could suffer significant losses in October's general election. Republicans have continued their criticism of Joe Biden after 6 more documents were discovered in the US president's Delaware residence. According to a statement from the president's personal lawyer, some of them had classified markings going back to the days when he was Delaware's senator, and others were handwritten notes from his time as US vice president. They were unearthed following an almost 13-hour search by the Justice Department on Friday. Bob Bauer didn't explain why the search was needed, other than to say the offer was made by the president's legal team in the interest of moving the process forward as expeditiously as possible. This follows the earlier discovery of documents at his home in Wilmington, as well as at a private office he occupied at a Washington, D.C. think tank. Republicans have taken the opportunity to slam the US president, with Congressman Mike Turner accusing Joe Biden of being a serial classified document hoarder. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSM.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
And we're back.
Yes, we are back. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to inscribe it on a tablet of stone, tattoo it on your firstborn's forehead, grab a crayon, jot it down on the door of your fridge, 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's me, Captain.
It's Nikki.
And Rich.
We started to talk about, was it the Blonsky device?
The Blonsky device.
And we never really even got to talking about it because it led us to wonder about what the record number of babies born to one person were.
We can call her a woman. And when they had this many babies, they were probably women birthing them.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
All right.
It's my preferred. I don't like calling them people who birthing people. It just doesn't sound right.
Yeah, these were probably women.
And so we got through, this is the top 10 list. Number 10, Mary Jonas with 33 children. Number 9 is Mrs. Harrison with 35 children. Number 8 is Elizabeth Greenhill with 39 children. Let's see if it says what year. In the 1600s.
I was about to say, she sounds like a pilgrim.
Yeah. Alice Hooks, North Wales with 41 children. Number 6 is Elizabeth Mott with 42 children.
They're all Catholic.
Guinness Book of Records lists the British record holder for the highest number of children to be a certain Elizabeth Mott. Elizabeth and John Mott of Monks Kirby in northeastern Warwickshire were married in 1676 and were reported to have produced 42 live-born children.
How is that even possible?
How are they the Guinness record holder and not number one?
Well, because Guinness doesn't necessarily know everything, right?
No, that's the whole purpose of Guinness is that they're the record keepers.
Guinness can be wrong. Number 5, Madalena Granata, 52 children.
Like, you think you would just die before it got to that point, right?
I mean, I'm assuming these ladies started young, in their teens, whatever, right? Because the more resilient you get, more elastic as a person when you're younger than as you get older. And you would assume, it wasn't like 52 in like 2 years, right? It had to be over a course of a decade or two or whatever, right? In Nocera, Italy, that's where Madalena Granata is from. A woman known as her was reported to have given birth to a total of 52 children.
It's a Roman Catholic even.
The occurrence was recorded by Japles correspondent to a Paris journal, where the following was written: about 2 or 3 stations beyond Pompeii, in the city of Nocera, lives Madalena Granata, aged 47, who was married at 28. Wow. And has given birth to 52 living and dead children, 49 of them being male.
What?
Wow.
Imagine having 49 sons. Oh, my goodness.
Giving Genghis Khan a run for his money.
Oh, wow. Holy crap. I almost had to dump myself. There's a sentence here after this that says, Dr. De Sanctis of Nocera states that she had triplets 15 times.
Nice.
Be 45 of her 52 children.
Well, if you're going to have 52 kids, you don't want to have them one at a time. That's just inefficient.
So she's just having litters of children. Literally
litters of children.
We'll get back to these top 10 ladies who've given birth to the record number of children. Let's go to the phones. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's your name, please?
Hey, this is Minor Ache.
Who?
Minor ache.
Minor ache, as opposed to major pain?
I am a minor ache.
Minor ache. All right. What's on your mind?
Well, I've had a problem recently. Anytime I try to get on your website, the freetalklive.com, I just can't get on. I'm going through my cell phone device, and it just doesn't happen. I just get it's some sort of like blocking thing.
Weird.
Do you guys know anything about that, or is it like maybe my phone, or?
It could be. I have no idea because I'm able to browse to it on both my device as well as other computers. I've been to the site recently, actually, on my personal phone as well as my personal computer here at the studio, and computer at somebody else's house. So
I would also say live tech support is not compelling radio.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, sorry about that, guys.
Hey, no worry. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up while you're on the air?
Not.
Sounds like a no. All right. Thanks for the call, man.
Send an email. We'll look into it.
Run
your spell checker.
Yeah.
Type it correctly.
Yeah. Ian at freetalklive.com. Tech support for Free Talk Live. Tell them what your browser version is and what your OS is, if you know any of that information.
Yeah, that's definitely not one to send to Mark.
Yeah, take a screenshot of whatever your don't send it to Mark. Mark will just send it to Ian if you do. He'll be like, Ian, what the hell is this?
Then Captain gets a phone call. Stop giving my email out on for tech support questions.
All right, so number 5 in these top 10 ladies who've given birth to record numbers of children was Madalena Granata. Number 4, Barbara Stratzman with 53 children, living from 1448 to 1503 during the time of the Holy Roman Empire. Barbara Stratzman of Boningheim, today known as Germany, was reported to have borne 53 children, although none of them survived infancy.
Oh, that's
none
unfortunate.
Of them?
More specifically, Barbara and her husband, Adam, were said to have had one set of septuplets, one set of sextuplets, 4 sets of triplets, 5 sets of twins, and 18 single births.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Of these children, 19 were supposedly stillborn, and by 1498, the eldest surviving child was 8 years old.
You think they
Well, oh, wait, hold on. They just said none of them survived infancy. 8 years old is not an infant anymore.
No, it sure isn't.
All right.
Who
Carry
wrote
on.
this article?
Worse
Anyways, that's
than
sad.
my source.
19 stillborns. I would, I would stop having children right there. That is so traumatic.
Right there?
But I think,
You'd wait till 19?
Well, but I think back then most people were kind of used to that. A lot
Okay,
of children, it was very common. Stillbirths were very common. Children dying during infancy due to illness and lack of sanitation, and so
You're young. You're only 22. You got plenty of life ahead of you.
There was a painting done that portrayed Barbara and Adam with their 53 children in a stable at Bethlehem. However, in 1990, the chief physician of the Heilbronn Municipal Women's Clinic contradicted the story by pointing out that the multiple births Barbara was said to have had were statistically improbable, and that a woman in that period would have been unlikely to survive the multiple pregnancies due to the state of medicine at that time.
And that's what I was saying earlier. How do you survive having this many children, especially in the 1500s?
I'm trying to think about it now because I don't remember the year. Let me see if I can find it. There was a set of quintuplets that was born, I think, in Canada. Yeah, the Dion quintuplets in the 30s.
Okay.
And so, this type of thing isn't unknown, right? Quintuplets, triplets. It is, I believe, a fact that if you've given birth to twins or triplets once, that you are more likely to give birth to twins or triplets or whatever again. So you got to think that back in the day, nobody was, wrapping that rascal.
Nope.
There was no, contraception as we know it today.
Sheepskin was so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so,
That's so gross.
At any rate, moving right along. What was I? We were talking about the top 5. Yeah, here we go. Number 3, Leontina Albina, 55 children. The 1988 version of the Guinness Book of Records reports the world's most prolific mother at that time was San Antonio, Chile's Leonida Albina, wife of Gerardo Albina, born 1925. Were married in Argentina in 1943. Before coming to Chile, his wife had born 5 sets of triplets, who all happened to be boys. Wow.
Nice.
Can you imagine giving birth to triplets 5 times?
No.
Lucky guy.
I can't even imagine that once.
Well, they're all going to be small.
I've seen footage of triplets being born, and it's it's kind of a gory thing to watch, like a baby being born, and then oh, here comes another one, right? Oh wait, she's not done yet. Here comes a third.
And back then, they didn't have ultrasounds.
Yep.
It's literally a surprise.
Yeah.
You don't know how many babies are coming out.
Yeah, unless the doctor could hear like 3 separate heartbeats late in the term or whatever.
But they don't really listen. They didn't really even have that technology.
It was just a surprise.
Yep.
Here comes labor. There's more than one.
How are they kicking me in 3 different ribs at the same time?
Yeah.
That's how you know.
The couple had more children until 1981 when 55-year-old Leontina was recorded to have given birth to her 55th child. So age 55, given birth to your 55th child.
Once a year.
Oh, that must be lucky.
It's the golden child, right? It's like your golden birthday. Yeah. There were unverified reports that the couple had 9 more children after that, which may have upped their total to as many as 64 children.
How are any of these earlier reports being verified?
Yeah, I
like
don't
back
know.
in the 1600s.
But it was Guinness, so you figured it out.
Well, you just said they're a bunch of liars. So.
Well, I said they could be wrong.
Okay.
I didn't say they're a bunch of liars. Said it's possible for Guinness to be wrong. Number 2, the wife of Yakov Krylov, 57 children. Wow. In 1775, Yakov Krylov from the village of Vevdensky in Russia was presented to the Queen's Court in recognition of his fatherhood achievements with the peasant.
I want a medal for that.
Okay, also, forget the mother. Oh, this guy, his fatherhood achievements. Good job. What about the chick that just had like 16 kids?
Yeah, don't you know how the world works, Dickie?
Yeah.
I mean, you act like there's, more than 2 genders or something. You guys are funny. With the peasant farmer were some of the 15 children born to his second wife and all 57 of the children he had with his first wife. The first wife, whose name was not recorded, had given birth to her 57 children in a total of 21 births.
Her name wasn't even recorded.
Yeah.
Mrs. Yakov Krylov.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, her name wasn't important, right?
Yakov Krylov gets the plaque and Mrs.
And Mrs. She gave birth to her 57 children in a total of 21 births, 4 sets of quadruplets, 7 sets of triplets, and 10 sets of twins. Unfortunately, the certainty that Krylov's wife had truly borne 57 children cannot be unquestionably verified, thus giving rise to doubts of the veracity of the claim.
It's just Russian propaganda.
Number 1, the first wife of Fyodor Vasilev. 69 children.
Wow.
69.
Now that has to be lucky.
He sounds important the way you read it.
The first wife of Fyodor Vasilev.
Even that unnamed, right? His first wife.
Yeah.
Still on, yeah, right. This guy who lived from 1707 to 1782 was a peasant from Shuya, Russia. The name of his first wife has not been recorded, but according to the records of the monastery of Nikolsk, this woman gave birth to 4 sets of quadruplets, 7 sets of triplets, and 16 sets of twins in her 27 confinements at the monastery. That makes a total of 69 births by one woman, and according to records, only 2 of the children failed to survive their infancy.
Wow.
Nice.
Good job, Mom.
Adding to the extraordinary nature of this story, Vasilev married again, and with his new wife had 2 sets of triplets and 6 sets of twins for a total of 18 more children in 8 additional births.
Wow.
At least they were peasants, though. I don't think you could afford that many children on a lord's salary.
Yeah. That gave the Russian 87 children in all.
Well, there are some Egyptian kings and stuff that have 500 kids. I mean, at that point, you lose count, so they might be fabricating those numbers, but...
Doubts have been raised on the veracity of this claim. Nevertheless, Guinness World Records lists Vasiliev's wife with her 69 children to be the official record holder as the most prolific mother of all time.
He hears reports about like a rival pharaoh up in his number. He just walks into the harem, handles some business.
He meets a lady, she becomes pregnant. Twins, triplets, quadruplets, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. All right.
I wonder if any of these women used the Blonsky device.
No, because that's a new thing.
Well,
That's not a new thing. I think it was like early 1900s.
Okay.
Right? I mean, most of those births happen in like the 1600s.
Right.
All right, so back to the Blonsky device. This actually has not been attempted at all, not least because it is also obviously dangerous. Can it be made safe? Yet it does address a very real problem in which most modern women are physically poorly suited for childbirth for lack of strength and effective biological design. My first thought is that it could be seriously useful to speed up dilation itself, which takes far too long for most and exhausts most women. Just that avoids complications associated normally with the last phase. Certainly, the positioning suggested is superior and close to a birthing seat. They do have a diagram here that shows sort of an elevated at an angle, sort of it kind of looks like a weight bench in the drawing, but sat up at an angle.
I mean, if gravity's the kicker and you want it to be safer, right? Like, why not one of those, the carnival rides where they take you up and they drop you really fast?
Yeah.
Oh.
But on the way up, right, they pull you up really fast sometimes too, right? No, not the zipper, because the zipper spins.
Oh.
I'm just about like the Tower of Terror type of thing.
Yeah.
Right, just the straight drop.
Yep.
Right. So, but again, they take you up really fast sometimes too. So if you like strap in a pregnant woman to that and take her up really fast,
No.
let the gravity.
The gravitron, dude.
No, that'll
What, where they
pin-
spin?
No, that
no,
just
but
pins
like
you up.
the wall actually moves up and down with the lack of gravity as it spins. It's like a centrifuge.
Yeah, I know.
So-
I've been on it.
I used to run one.
Okay,
Okay,
but
so
I don't see how that you'd have to put the lady upside down. Then
I mean, okay.
we're trying to get the baby out, not
Well,
push it back.
she's gonna squeeze it out. I mean, we're just relying on nature.
No,
But
the
we're trying to-
gravitron pins you up against the wall. You can't even move.
okay, so there's this thing called Pitocin. It's a hormone, and women need to be relaxed and feel safe.
Not upside down and being spun
Not
around
upside down and on
in a
carnival
gravitron.
rides.
Somehow
Where's
we've-
Guinness?
somehow
The first baby born in the gravitron.
We've turned the Blonsky device into like some sort of like MacGyvered up gravitron from a carnival ride.
Well, it basically is.
Oh man.
There's one at the local theme park around here that's like the gravitron, but it lifts you and spins you like horizontally.
That's basically what this thing is.
Yeah.
Well, so
But that one, the way this thing is, it's like it's shooting the baby out though. This
Yeah.
thing to hold you in place pins you up against the wall.
Yeah.
So this write-up continues. My take-home here is that
Like
all
you'd be
this
strapped into the middle of the gravitron when it spins, not pressed against the outer edge.
Oh, yeah.
You got to figure out the centrifugal versus centrifugal force.
Well, that's the same word.
No, centrifugal and centrifugal. It's the
That's-
opposites.
That's just the pronunciation of the same
Well,
word differently.
There's two different words.
Then spell them.
I'll look it up in a minute.
Okay. Has it been a minute?
No, it's been like 10 seconds.
All
But
right.
you saw me grab the modern rectangle.
The magic rectangle.
Yeah.
My take home here is that all this could be completely safe. This is from the write up here. Could be completely safe and beneficial right up to the point of birth, and also highly time effective, allowing close monitoring and continuous attendance. At the point of birth, the spinning can be ended and the birth can be properly attended. This could actually be a superior system for birthing and could prevent disasters caused by contemporary female muscle weaknesses. A lot less emergency cesareans or, what's this word, Nikki?
Episiotomies.
Episiotomies, thank you. Or forceps would be welcome. Obviously, a woman would be able to push using full strength as well.
Here you go, Mr. Smarty Pants. Centrifugal. CENTRIFICAL.
Centrifugal as opposed to centrifugal.
CENTRIFUGAL.
Right, okay.
It's the opposite forces.
Opposite forces. Like
Yeah.
yin and yang?
Sure.
Okay.
Like one pushes outward and one pushes you inward.
Do I have to add Mr. Smarty Pants to authentic
Yeah.
Lord Dr. Reverend
The
Captain
authentic Smarty Pants, Lord Reverend Dr. Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass Buckshot Esquire,
If you will.
Yeah, I love it.
So
You're just saying the same word pronounced differently.
caused by contemporary female muscle weaknesses, a lot less emergency cesareans or
Episiotomies.
thank you, or forceps would be welcome. Obviously, a woman would be able to push using full strength as well. A simple basket rather than a net. It's also indicated as well for handling sudden releases. Does that happen in childbirth? Is there
Yes.
a sudden release?
You know, yeah. Sometimes.
So that joke about like wearing the pitcher's glove and the mask is
Yeah.
like that
would be the catcher.
The catcher,
Mr.
sorry,
Smarty
not the
Pants.
pitcher.
Yeah, so that's me. I'm the catcher. And sometimes it is like that.
Wow.
Straps on the Nike gloves with the sticky tack on
The
there. I'll get
innuendo
it.
is strong in this particular episode.
Carry on.
I'm going to have Riley edit that out, right? Just like to have that sample. I'm the catcher. Sorry, Nikki. Richie Rich is making fun of you. All right. A simple basket rather than a net is also indicated as well for handling sudden releases.
Also, I like how they say that, like, we usually use a net.
Yeah.
No one uses a net.
Do you use a simple basket?
No.
Oh.
Just use your
Wait,
hands.
there's no
like a normal
safety net?
person.
Put the safety net underneath in case you bobble it.
What about,
No.
yeah, I
No.
mean, don't you want like a padded like basket or something that, you know, could gently like, I mean, the baby is coming out covered in stuff that would arguably be
mean,
slippery.
If it falls on the floor, it falls on the floor. I'm just kidding.
And
The
Nikki's
baby's-
clientele goes to
It's
this.
okay. Well, listen, it's
Hope your
tethered.
yoga's doing well.
It's tethered to the. You know?
It won't hit the floor. It'll just bungee back up. Don't you know anything about the female anatomy, guys?
Come on, guys.
Extreme umbilical bungee. Only here on the Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. So yes, this can work with proper design and training, and may be the foundation of actual birthing clinics where it all lasts an hour or so. So let's see. A depiction of the Blonsky device, which used centrifugal force or centrifugal force.
Which one is it?
I don't know.
You have the spelling in front of you.
Well, this one's fugal.
Okay.
So is that in or out?
That would be out because
Okay.
they're trying to spin it out.
Okay,
And
yeah,
the-
that would make sense.
And the gravitron is centrifugal because it presses you against.
All right. Everyone knows that childbirth isn't easy, but what if pregnant patients could simply strap themselves to a table, spin at a high speed, and then propel the baby out? What could go wrong?
Absolutely nothing.
It sounds ridiculous.
If you use a nice basket instead of a net, clearly this is the way to do it.
It sounds ridiculous, but in the 1960s, a couple patented the Blonsky device, a machine that used centrifugal force to fling babies into the world.
And it's finally hit the public domain.
The worst part about this is a woman is the one that designed this. Like, you think it was, oh, this has to be a man that is just, being...
A woman with a weak
there
cervix.
Definitely had to be some female input here, or output, I guess. All right. We're having too much fun, apparently.
We're going to have to add some of these clips to the TikTok page.
Yeah. There's more here, but who were the Blonskys? The idea for the Blonsky device came from a married couple. George Blonsky, a mining engineer, and Charlotte Blonsky of New York. The Blonskys had no children of their own, perhaps
Clearly.
limiting, or if they did, they, spun them to death. But they were frequent visitors of the Bronx Zoo. And in the early 1960s, had a memorable encounter with an elephant that would give them a new idea for human childbirth. On that fateful day,
What an inspiration.
George witnessed a pregnant elephant nearing labor. Poor George.
And the elephant was spinning around it. Like, oh, this is definitely how we should do it.
As he watched, George hypothesized that spinning helped the elephant deliver its 250-pound baby.
I doubt it.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting at a ballroom dance studio in a city about 8 miles east of Los Angeles. Authorities have been searching for a suspect following the incident on Saturday night, which occurred over a Lunar New Year weekend event in Monterey Park, which attracts thousands of people to the area. Sunday's festivities were cancelled after the shooting, in which at least 5 men and 5 women were killed. Earlier, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna gave this update on the investigation.
There is a male suspect that fled the scene and remains outstanding, described as a male Asian.
That was according to early information which identified the suspect as aged between 30 and 50 years old. Monterey Park has a significant Asian American population. It's one of the largest in the United States. But officials said the motive for the gun attack, which wounded at least 10 others, is still not clear. Police are looking into whether or not the shooting was connected to another incident that occurred around 17 minutes later at a nearby city of Alhambra, where witnesses at a dance venue said an Asian man had walked in with a gun. No one was harmed, and the suspect reportedly fled in a white van after people managed to take the weapon away from him. Police later released a photograph of the suspect wearing glasses, a beanie and a black leather jacket. SWAT teams have since been involved in a standoff with a white cargo van in Torrance, south of Monterey Park, that could be connected to the shooting. Chris Hipkins, the man chosen by New Zealand's Labour Party to replace Jacinda Ardern, says tackling inflation will be at the top of his agenda. He's due to officially become the country's next Prime Minister from Wednesday after Ardern stunned the world by announcing she was stepping down. In a series of interviews on Sunday, Hipkins said he would focus on what he called bread and butter issues, such as the cost of living. The Labour Party is currently behind in the polls, with some suggesting Labour could suffer significant losses in October's general election. Republicans have continued their criticism of Joe Biden after 6 more documents were discovered in the US president's Delaware residence. According to a statement from the president's personal lawyer, some of them had classified markings going back to the days when he was Delaware's senator, and others were handwritten notes from his time as US vice president. They were unearthed following an almost 13-hour search by the Justice Department on Friday. Bob Bauer didn't explain why the search was needed, other than to say the offer was made by the president's legal team in the interest of moving the process forward as expeditiously as possible. This follows the earlier discovery of documents at his home in Wilmington, as well as at a private office he occupied at a Washington, D.C. think tank. Republicans have taken the opportunity to slam the US president, with Congressman Mike Turner accusing Joe Biden of being a serial classified document hoarder. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more depth today at the World Economic Forum in Davos and questions about whether, as an influential event, it's past its sell-by date. Last week, the world's captains of industry and finance made their annual trek to the Alpine ski town to meet some world leaders, but notably not all. The price for commercial organisations to attend this year soared from $50,000 a ticket to $250,000.
There were 1 or 2 people who felt that this was ridiculous profit gouging. Also, some who complained it was being used as a tool to select people whose voices would be milder mannered than others.
Lord Mark Malloch Brown was there. He's the president of the Open Society Foundations, which funds independent groups working to advance justice, democracy and human rights. Does he think Davos still serves a purpose?
Well, I think for a while it was, quite a legitimate platform for announcements in the great era of globalization. That legitimacy has gone. What remains is a really still useful networking place where you can test ideas, hear interesting new ideas, but above all, meet dozens of people who it would take months of travel to meet.
But it is a long way to go and a lot of money to spend to achieve that, especially with a global recession looming. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting at a ballroom dance studio in a city about 8 miles east of Los Angeles. Chris Hipkins, the man chosen by New Zealand's Labour Party to replace Jacinda Ardern, says tackling inflation will be at the top of his agenda. And Republicans continue their criticism of President Biden after 6 more documents were discovered in the US president's Delaware residence. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
To help you understand how dangerous narcotics operations have persisted despite decades of bold efforts to completely mishandle the problem, we now present The Onion Explains, the drug trade. The cartels remain as powerful as ever. Experts say that the only solution is to eliminate the demand for illegal drugs by instead getting buzzed on common household products, like cough syrup. Not only do items such as nail polish remover and model glue get you ripped if you really breathe that in, they also help shrink the market for cartel drugs. Cartels would stand to lose billions if even a third of the people using their cocaine or methamphetamine instead huffed Freon, which will knock you right on your ass just as quickly. It's easy to get by cracking open an air conditioner. If enough people realize that keyboard cleaner will put you in a insane trance and that it's just sitting there right now in your desk drawer, the costly war on drugs could very well end tomorrow.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. And we're live.
And we're free.
And we talk.
We do.
What's the name of the show?
Free Talk Live.
What's the telephone number?
603-283-6160.
What'll we probably do right away?
Go to phone call.
Let's do that. We're going to go to your calls and thoughts. We have Robert calling from, I believe, South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I was just thinking about how to propel a child out of the womb.
Like the Blonsky device?
Well, no, mine would be, I would use horizontally polarized gravitons because that would be the safest way to do it.
Okay,
I would figure.
So you have to explain all 3 of those words.
Right. So what? Well, I know what horizontally
is. Okay, 2 of the 3 words.
What is a graviton?
Graviton is it's very, very, very similar to a photon, but it provides for gravity rather than for light or radio signals.
Okay. And what was the third thing?
It's massless. It's also massless, by the way. So and the photons are actually part of the glue that holds the nucleus of the atom together. So what was the other word that you needed?
I don't remember. What did you say? You would use
horizontally propelled graviton.
So this is microscopic? Is this for like amoebas?
The photons, the gravitons can only travel at the speed of light. They can't travel any faster or any slower, otherwise they would cease to exist. So that they're massless, which means that they can go through anything, and they would provide for gravity. But instead of gravity vertically or horizontally, vertically, you have it horizontal, so that the child would be propelled out of a mother, let's say.
Okay, so what type of a device would you need to construct to use these gravitons to assist in childbirth?
And what is this technology currently being used for?
I wouldn't want to go into too many details about how you do it because the Chinese could be listening, and we certainly don't want them to get their
Okay, but let me ask you this. Is it something that
Chinese won't take patented stuff?
No, let me ask you this. Is it something that the Germans already do, and they do it better because they have the best engineers?
Well, Germans have things that the rest of the world really doesn't know about, except the United States. They sell their technology to the United States, because I talked to one of the engineers where they design a device that produces very, very short bursts of very, very high-powered magnetic radiation, and they use it for powering those chips that go into deep space.
Right.
And once they get off the ground and go into deep space, they send a magnetic signal out there that's only for a fraction of a second, but it's very powerful. And they manufacture those in a city not far from Dresden, which is where I lived. And I taught the guy, helped teach the guy English. Help him practice his English. Just for practice, and was my relationship to him.
I hear the Germans are leading the way in coal-fired power plants for their electricity. Cutting edge technology.
Germany has the best coal-fired power plants because already back in 1997, I believe it was, when I worked at in Skopje by Halle, they had a scrubber that would clean 95% of the pollution. So it's not a problem at all.
All right,
Tell
Robert in
that to
South
Greta
Carolina.
Thunberg.
We appreciate your call. Gravitons to help try. I was just thinking, like, have you ever seen like one of these dough rolling devices? Like when you want to, you get some dough and you put it through the thing to like flatbread or whatever. Like, couldn't something like that help squeeze out babies?
I mean,
like the little tooth thing I have on the end of my toothpaste.
What about what about like
just put it right on her?
What about like a giant set of hands? So like you put your hands inside this giant set of hands and you just sort of like squeezing a tube of toothpaste.
Well, the uterus kind of already does that.
Can you?
Those are the contractions.
But I mean, can give it some assist, right?
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know. I don't know anything,
also,
apparently.
I hate to break it to them, but Subaru and Porsche are already using the horizontally opposed engine, so they kind of already took his idea.
Are they using the gravitrons, though, or the gravitons?
Sounds pretty similar.
Just hold up a black hole in front of the chick, and the baby will just... But put a net in front of it so you catch it before it goes into the black hole.
Can't you just get a Kirby vacuum cleaner up in there? Suck the little bastard out.
They actually do have those that they use in the hospital.
Yeah, my sister's a conehead.
It's a vacuum.
They have baby suckers.
Yeah. My younger sister's a conehead because they would.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing.
And then they have to wait for her head to
it's like a suction cup.
I was being completely farcical.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not, because it exists.
You backed up into a real thing, Parody Man.
Wow. Yeah. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
That's what my grandpa always says.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again. Something along those lines.
Yep.
One of my bosses used to say that. That's a pretty good saying. What were we
Not
talking
if he's
about?
talking to you about it. It's like, you got no skills, kid. You just got lucky this one time.
All right. Let's, we talked about the Blonsky device, which is, I guess,
it's a thing.
Spin a girl around and, it helps her give birth somehow.
I honestly, that's not going to work.
Nikki's still not convinced.
What about one of those things they train the astronauts in that, like, it's a big, it's a big circle thing, and they spin them around. They go in all directions, and then
I think it would just make it worse.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a recipe for fetal distress.
Wow, Nikki got all serious for a second.
Yeah.
Trying to make light of the situation. Like, nope, fetal distress is a real thing. It's bad. It's horrible.
We previously on Free Talk Live had minor ache.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I don't even want to discuss that because that was tech support.
I was asking our caller.
Oh.
Who's live.
Minor ache?
What?
Minor ache or minor egg? What are you talking about?
Ache.
We had a caller who called himself Minor Ache.
Oh.
For those of our listeners who are just tuning in, the caller is known as Major Pain, and so that's why we bring up Minor Ache, the opposite.
Previous caller.
Previous caller, yeah. I guess what you guys would be, arch nemesis?
I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to butter me up.
Butter. What's on your mind, Major?
Seems like they'd be on the same page, right?
Well, you guys were just talking about vacuum induction of fetals, right?
Yep.
Something to that effect.
So I would recommend the Electrolux because it has so many attachments. You can paint your house, cut your hair.
Yeah, but doesn't Kirby have that too?
Damn thing might even drive nails. I don't remember.
Trying to sell Kirby on the air?
What? As a matter of fact, I'm not.
Okay.
You're not 20 different gizmos? What are you talking about?
No. Rich asked me if I was trying to sell Kirby's
He
on
keeps
the
pitching
air.
Kirby stuff surreptitiously.
Oh, yeah, Kirby was the first one. There was another one, too, that I think started with the H. It was damn near a $2,000 vacuum.
I don't know, but I had a Kirby vacuum that had a belt sander on it.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Badass gizmos that went on these super duper vacuum cleaners.
In fact, it was the only thing that worked on the vacuum cleaner. Like the rest of it had broken, all the attachments were missing or otherwise broken or whatever. And it was older than dirt. But like you could plug it in and then plug this other deal into it and put a sanding belt on it, and it would.
But what is a belt sander worth that will suck up the dust?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
For like 50 years.
Right. Yeah.
Come on.
If you can get the dust.
I mean, that's actually genius.
Yeah.
So as you sand, it sucks up the dust? That's
yeah.
cutting edge.
They got I have orbital
the bandsaw.
sanders I prefer, and I got vibrating sanders. They do a lot slower work, but it's kinder on the grain. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do finished stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
The orbital sanders will rip up some dust, except, especially if you put a good hard sand, digging bit on them, and they'll create some damn dust.
Really helps get the baby out.
Mine had an old vacuum cleaner, an old, little tiny cheap shop vac that was probably 30 years old, but it had exactly the right size hose where it plugged right into the back of my gizmo. And
I really like it when hose are the right size.
Yep.
Yeah, but I got 3 years of sand and drywall out of like a $65 buy sander, probably $35 when I bought it.
So what would you recommend for new sanders for a starter grit?
Start for sanding what?
I don't know. Just if you're only going to buy one grit of sandpaper, like what would
80,
you go with?
80 or 120.
88 or 120. All right.
And if you want it to be pretty, go 220.
All right.
Depends on how rough a thing you're dealing with. Hog paper's like 60 to 80. Medium hardcores is 120. And then you go, 220, 440 and whatnot.
Good to know.
Bigger the number, smaller the stones.
Major, I know you have. I know you have at least one child. What's the maximum number of children that you've ever witnessed one woman giving birth to? Not witnessed, but like you're aware of, like in your life. Like I have somebody in my family that gave birth to 9.
I was a Catholic. I'm a cradle Catholic, so I know of a couple of at least a dozen.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Did you hear the previous segment where we talked about the record number?
A little bit of it. I got distracted and had to do some other stuff, but no, I mean, partially.
69, dude.
69, dude. Was that a Mormon?
Roman Catholic, we believe.
Or what? Oh, I did it, didn't I?
Roman Catholic, I believe.
Are the Mormons outbreeding the Catholics at this point?
I think so. Well, the Catholics have some new technology that
Mormons
they're using.
are not Catholics. No, don't get confused. Mormons
Not
are not
Mormon Catholic, Roman Catholic.
Oh, Roman Catholic.
Mormon Catholic.
Well,
practicing on the
It's a new
choir
religion,
boys.
yeah.
You've just invented a new religion, Major.
Mormon
Congratulations.
Catholics.
Yes.
No. All Catholics that still are alive are Roman, ain't they?
Well, it's like a different sect at this
Not
point.
unless they live in Rome.
Play on words. I'm just giving you back your own stuff.
Only if they live in Rome would they be Roman.
Yeah, you got the
That's right.
Boston Catholics
They're
down in
still Roman.
Massachusetts.
They're still alive. They're Catholics, so they're Roman Catholics.
Well, no. I mean, if they're from, like Richie says, Boston Catholics.
So
They park the
roaming
car on the
is
corner.
the word
It's
like-
Boston.
Boston.
Hey, you're missing the roaming part. Roaming over the tundra on a horse, like I proceed.
Roman
They're
Catholics, not Roman Catholics. Right?
It's a
the
pun.
gypsies.
They get charged every time their cell phone tower reorients to their phone. Roaming Catholics.
Why do I got to steal your horse before you listen to me? Damn it.
I'm sorry, what, Major? I wasn't listening to you.
Why do I have to steal your horse before you slow down and listen to me?
I don't own a horse.
Just don't steal his thunder.
Yeah.
Or his horse named Thunder.
Listen, don't put the horse before the cart.
No, my horse is named Lightning. It comes before the thunder.
Major, thanks for the call. Have a great night. 603-283-6160.
We covered a lot of territory with that call. We went everywhere from vacuum cleaners to sandpaper to horses.
I figured
Lightning is the male horse, Thunder's the female horse.
I figured we'd let him go out on top, rather than, decline into something less entertaining.
Yeah.
Let's just, stop while we're ahead.
Oh, look at Captain. Taking Mark's professional advice.
Hey, I'm trying to be a better host here.
As soon as they make a joke, cut him off.
Always trying to improve the show.
All right.
Not always succeeding, but always trying. Always trying. That's the important part.
You made a good effort.
It was E for effort.
Even a blind squirrel gets a nut.
Don't know why I'm talking like this all of a sudden.
It's the Boston accent.
No, Boston, where you park your car around the corner.
Yeah.
It's a little more Hampshire. New Hampshire. It's like N apostrophe Hampshire. New Hampshire.
Ooh.
New Hampshire. Sure. Yeah, not even Shire, it's Shuh.
What are we going to call it when we actually secede?
Wow, that's
got to change the name.
Yeah.
Old Hampshire.
No, because that's just Hampshire in England. Fall back on that.
Just call it the Shire.
Okay.
Why not?
I'll accept it.
Right? Who's going to sue us for copyright?
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but they can't because we're a different country.
Okay,
We don't.
all right.
We don't have copyright rules.
Oh.
Or like China. That's why you can't. That's why you can't mention it. And you can no longer mention your copyrightable ideas in Namsha.
Because of China.
Because of China.
Oh, that's what Robert the Caller was worried about. Like Chinese might be. We can't give them any ideas. What the hell is wrong with people? All right. So, are we done with the Blonsky? I think we are.
I think so.
Let's move on.
I forget which.
We've spun that one into the ground.
Which one of the writers actually tried to sue the Shire for the Declaration of Independence or whatever?
Oh, I don't know.
L. Neil. It's like one of those L. Neil guys, but I don't want to say his full name in case it's the wrong one.
I don't know.
Like he wrote it like the Shire Declaration, right? Like, I'm signing this Shire Constitution, was moderately improvised off of something that this author wrote.
Oh, I see.
And so he went, no, that's my copyrightable work. Even though I too am writing libertarian fiction, you cannot steal my declarations. It was a thing back in the day. I just don't remember the details.
Well, since we've been talking about women and having lots of children, let's talk about another story that involves lots of children. This from ladbible.com. What the hell is lad? What's the lad part of it?
I thought it was like a boy.
Oh, it's like Boy's Life or something?
That's what I always
I had a
assumed.
subscription of that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. I wasn't even a Boy Scout.
I was. Yeah.
Okay.
I got kicked out for smoking weed.
Oh.
Yeah. We were doing the Boy Scout camp out kind of thing.
Okay.
And the
Scoutmaster.
Yeah, the Scoutmaster. Like, we looked at the coast was clear. I almost
Clearly
said a bad
not.
word. We and we're like, okay, let's spark it up, right? And so we're just in the tent. It's just me and this one other dude. We're smoking this poorly hand-rolled joint. And
I found this herb out in nature, sir.
No. We just hear this voice. It's the Scoutmaster. He's like, when you boys are done in there, you might as well go ahead and pack up camp because you're out of here.
Wow.
Because, like, apparently smoke escapes the tent.
Yeah.
And, like, we didn't consider that. We just were, yeah.
I've been in enough tents that have been rained on and gotten wet on the inside to know that it's not as...
That's really intense.
Yeah.
This from ladbible.com. Parents regret letting kids on Lord of the Flies show that saw 20 girls and boys left alone.
What did they think was going to happen? They read the book, right?
Yeah, have they not? Like, didn't they read the book before allowing their children to go on, or were
Let's
they just
see if
like,
this book is really fiction.
They were just like, little Billy's going to be on TV. Something about Lord of the Flies. I don't know what that is. Like, yeah.
I did the book report and somehow I got it wrong because I only watched the movie.
So this is from January 18th, published by somebody named Emma Guinness.
Whatever.
Weird. Guinness record from the last thing. Guinness now.
I don't check the sources. I just look for entertaining content.
If only I were drinking beer and could have a Guinness right now. That would make the trifecta.
That'd be lovely.
Instead, he went out for a coffee.
I did. A group of parents have admitted that they regret letting their kids on a chaotic Lord of the Flies-esque reality show. Okay, first of all, letting your kids on a reality show, like, much less a Lord of the Flies-esque reality show.
The economy's in the tank. Someone's got to make some money somehow, and if pimping out your
reality
kids gets you
TV gives reality a bad freaking name, dude.
It
maybe
really does.
But it makes you famous.
Also, I just want to say this is
Hashtag
probably
Andrew Tate.
This is probably safer than letting your kids on Disney Channel
or in public
Nickelodeon,
schools.
yeah, or public schools, but
or church.
Probably less likely to get molested at public school than on Disney Channel. Maybe I'm wrong. Depends what school you go to, I guess.
I would put the risk equal in those.
Okay.
Two, just, you know.
Well, okay.
Well, I mean, Disney Channel, it's like a definite 99%.
I'd say in public school, probably less likely that it's going to be teachers and staff. Whereas Disney Channel, it's more likely going to be the executives.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you're not going to get molested by another Mouseketeer, but you might get molested by another student.
So Minnie and Pluto, they're fine, but the other students might be, or the executives might be your
Yeah, that is my general thought on it, since I am opinionated on anything you ask me.
Well, I mean, that's what we do here on Free Talk Live is opine, right?
Yes.
At any rate, the premise of this reality TV show called Boys and Girls Alone, which is a horrible name because it just makes it sound like
just
a
British
softcore
TV.
porn.
Okay.
Again, what did the parents expect?
The premise of Boys and Girls Alone was a simple group of 10 boys and girls that would be filmed in houses without adult supervision to see what happened.
Maybe they just watched Home Alone. I'm like, well, if it's one kid can do it.
There's a video sample here. Have you watched it?
I have not.
Oh, I won't play it because I usually screen these things for cussing and whatnot. So
the thumbnail of it was just, chubby little kid looked like he was screaming his little head off. And I went, ooh.
Apparently, chaos erupted. Who would have figured 20 kids in a house all alone? Yeah. The boys group totally trashed their house and split into two smaller groups. Living off junk food.
They're forming gangs.
Yes. Almost immediately.
Living off junk food despite having a number of options.
Wow. Surprise, surprise.
You're like, wait, does it say how old they are? It doesn't
I mean, I could have told them what would have happened.
But they look
if they don't know how to cook, you're going to go for the easy stuff.
They look fat.
Well, and they look, maybe 6 to 8, ish in that range. They even made one member of the group, Michael, into a scapegoat and tied him to a chair.
Oh my gosh. This sounds like the Stanford prison
Thank
experiment.
you. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Yes. It does
almost
sound like
immediately, all of the cops started beating the prisoners.
The girls, meanwhile, were also chaotic, but they did try to come together and cook food, which compared to their male counterparts was comparatively civilized.
Well, the natural habitat.
Men are the hunters, right? Women stay home, make the grub, right?
Sure. At that age, they already knew their place naturally.
Did you not see my Facebook status? A man's place is in the kitchen cooking PB&J's on fresh sourdough.
At some point, you need to go back and listen to the show when you were gone. Earlier.
Okay. I was actually planning on it anyways.
So I'm just saying.
Okay.
Since you brought up the loaving, the loaving, the leavening of the loaves, the loaving, the sourdough.
The leavened bread.
Yes. It'll all make sense later when you listen to the part that you missed.
Can't wait.
The 2009 reality show, which spanned 4 episodes, also featured the children trying to complete tasks which included managing money and organizing a 3-day camping trip.
Good luck. Adults can hardly manage a 3-day camping trip.
Man. Or money, for that matter. Oh, my gosh. For its finale, the 2 groups of children who were aged between 8 and 11 got to live together. Weren't they already living together?
No, there was the boys' house and the girls' house.
Oh, so now they're co-ed, mingling.
At 8 to 11, though. I mean, not much compelling television.
How many of them had triplets or quadruplets?
Hopefully none.
However, over a decade on from the program, which was accused of child abuse and cruelty, their parents say they wish they'd never allowed them to take part.
What channel does this air on?
I mean,
no.
I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Also, now the parents are like, oh, I wish I'd never let my kids do this now that there's a lawsuit and I might be making some more money.
Right. Well, or now that their children are like really screwed up from having participated in this thing and they don't know, and they like feel guilty and all that kind of crap.
I mean, 4 episodes. How long did they actually film, though?
And how is it they only made 4 episodes? It seems like that could be at least a 10-episode, if not 20-episode show.
I'd watch it.
603-283-6160. Have you ever done anything Lord of the Flies-esque? Give us a call.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting at a ballroom dance studio in a city about 8 miles east of Los Angeles. Authorities have been searching for a suspect following the incident on Saturday night, which occurred over a Lunar New Year weekend event in Monterey Park, which attracts thousands of people to the area. Sunday's festivities were cancelled after the shooting, in which at least 5 men and 5 women were killed. Earlier, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna gave this update on the investigation.
There is a male suspect that fled the scene and remains outstanding, described as a male Asian.
That was according to early information which identified the suspect as aged between 30 and 50 years old. Monterey Park has a significant Asian American population. It's one of the largest in the United States. But officials said the motive for the gun attack, which wounded at least 10 others, is still not clear. Police are looking into whether or not the shooting was connected to another incident that occurred around 17 minutes later at a nearby city of Alhambra, where witnesses at a dance venue said an Asian man had walked in with a gun. No one was harmed, and the suspect reportedly fled in a white van after people managed to take the weapon away from him. Police later released a photograph of the suspect wearing glasses, a beanie and a black leather jacket. SWAT teams have since been involved in a standoff with a white cargo van in Torrance, south of Monterey Park, that could be connected to the shooting. Chris Hipkins, the man chosen by New Zealand's Labour Party to replace Jacinda Ardern, says tackling inflation will be at the top of his agenda. He is due to officially become the country's next Prime Minister from Wednesday after Ardern stunned the world by announcing she was stepping down. In a series of interviews on Sunday, Hipkins said he would focus on what he called bread and butter issues, such as the cost of living. The Labour Party is currently behind in the polls, with some suggesting Labour could suffer significant losses in October's general election. Republicans have continued their criticism of Joe Biden after 6 more documents were discovered in the U.S. president's Delaware residence. According to a statement from the president's personal lawyer, some of them had classified markings going back to the days when he was Delaware's senator, and others were handwritten notes from his time as U.S. vice president. They were unearthed following an almost 13-hour search by the Justice Department on Friday. Bob Bauer didn't explain why the search was needed, other than to say the offer was made by the president's legal team in the interest of moving the process forward as expeditiously as possible. This follows the earlier discovery of documents at his home in Wilmington, as well as at a private office he occupied at a Washington, D.C. think tank. Republicans have taken the opportunity to slam the U.S. president, with Congressman Mike Turner accusing Joe Biden of being a serial classified document hoarder. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
And we're not on crack, said Jack.
Crack is whack,
Well,
said Whitney Houston.
Okay.
I'm rich. I don't do crack.
Where's the receipt?
You might be rich, but are you wealthy?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
Depends. How do you measure it?
Rich in name only.
Yeah.
Is that why you're rich, so you can be rich twice in the same name?
It's supposed to be somewhat of an affirmation at the same time. We've talked about this. It just hasn't manifested yet.
Or womanifested.
Yeah, whatever. I don't do that.
Anymore?
Yeah.
Not since the incident.
Yeah, too many of those.
Before we go on, I want to tell all of our listeners that Free Talk Live is asking you for a favor. As you perhaps know, Ian Freeman, this show's founder, was recently convicted of various victimless crimes. He's facing up to 20 years in prison. We can argue all day as to if the jury was mistaken, but that's not going to get us anywhere. What will be helpful is for you to write a letter to the Honorable Joseph LaPlante about Ian's character, how he helps the community, and why you think he deserves a light sentence. Also, saying things about yourself that give your opinion weight with the government workers would be helpful. Perhaps you've held office, maybe you've had a stellar career, or you've been a volunteer. That would be something to mention. Ian is a selfless guy that has always tried to do what he thinks is the right thing. It would be a tragedy if he had to spend any time in prison, particularly when there is no victim of anything he's been accused of. We need you to write these letters quickly, so please do not put it off. You can send your letter for Ian Freeman to 63 Emerald Street, number 610, Keene, New Hampshire, 03431. If you didn't get this address written down, that's okay. All of the info that you need to send a letter is at letters.freetalklive.com. That's letters.freetalklive.com. If Ian has helped you in any way, if he's enriched your life, I know that when we used to do our nightcap gatherings, that he was always helping people download and install cryptocurrency wallets. He would even give them a little bit of cryptocurrency to get them started, show them how to use it, how to do a transaction. And he never charged anybody for any of this. In fact, he lost money doing it by giving away cryptocurrency to these people. So I know for a fact that that is one of the many things that he has done that I feel is a good and right thing in this world.
Getting people hooked on cryptocurrency.
I mean, it's better than state currency.
That is true.
So, anyway, letters.freetalklive.com.
As we discussed, Gresham's Law.
Indeed. So we've been talking about this 2009 reality program that was only 4 episodes long, but it was sort of a Lord of the Flies-esque. It's called, what was it called?
Was 10
Boys
Girls and Go Boys in a House.
Boys and Girls Alone was the name of the thing. And so, you know, they trashed the house. They did have to do a couple of things. It turns out the girls did try to come together and cook food. It doesn't say they were successful. It says they did try to come together to cook food. For its finale, the 2 groups of children got to live together. However, over a decade on from the program, which was accused of child abuse and cruelty, the parents say they wish they'd never allowed them to take part. At this point, it's worth noting that there were adult chaperones on set who were allowed to intervene if things got particularly out of the hand.
I mean,
don't want little Billy stabbing little Susie with the scissors while you're trying to do arts and crafts.
Well, and there would have to be, right? Because there needs to be a camera crew.
Right.
For it to be a reality show. I mean, you can hide cameras
Well,
and just
no, you
have,
could just mount them at various places in the house. And, you know.
Yeah, but the crew's not supposed to interfere with the...
No, yeah.
Right.
Like, I've seen enough nature. They don't get involved.
Ruth Lewis, whose son Sam took part in a similar show in 2002, Cutting Edge's Boys Alone, said she struggles to even think about what happened. That show was awful, the mom said. If I had my time again, I would say no to allowing him on the show. It was just chaos and mayhem.
Boys will be boys.
Note the lack of anarchy.
Okay.
The description, yes. I'm just saying, anarchy's, I'm taking it back, man. We're taking it back.
Not chaos and mayhem.
Not chaos, not mayhem. Watching the new show, I did think, I can't believe I did that to my son. It was horrible watching it again. It's an awful lot for a child to go through at that age. Well,
I mean, that's just
then that
bad
makes you a
parenting.
dumb parent. Yeah. That's like,
Well, but you don't know that up front.
You don't know you're a dumb parent until you watch back the episode of Lord of the Flies you let your child participate in and go, oh, crap, that was really dumb.
It probably wasn't pitched as Lord of the Flies. It's like, let's just see what happens when we put 10 boys in a house.
And no adults.
There's going to be adult presence there. Only in a terrible situation are they going to intervene because we want to get a really good idea what these boys will do alone.
Her opinion was also echoed by Sam, who told the Mirror when he was 19 that he wished he'd never taken part. If someone asked me if I want to do it again, I'd definitely say no, he said. Any boy would say yes to an opportunity like that, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. I'd never missed my mom before in my life. It was mayhem and became depressing as the house divided into two gangs and war broke out.
So, okay.
Like Nerf war?
So they did the show twice, and both times they ganged up into two gangs.
Yeah, the place was trashed, and I'm ashamed to say that I even turned into a bit of a hooligan. So,
I mean, you're 8 years old.
Yeah, and you just joined a gang, or formed one even. Yeah. Perhaps you're the leader. We don't know.
I just want to parallel that with most politics, right? It's always like two parties, two gangs duking it out.
Weird. It's as if it's one giant Lord of the Flies-esque reality show.
Feels it.
That we're all participating in involuntarily.
Biden's got the conch.
He does have the conch. It's true.
Doesn't know what to do with it.
No, he's sniffing it instead of blowing into it. Right? He doesn't know what to do. Another participant in the 2002 incarnation of the show, Alex Littman, said, "While it sounded like fun at the time, it was everything but."
It does sound like fun.
It does sound like fun. If I was 8,
yes,
and your mom was like, "Hey, do you want to go be on a TV show where you and a bunch of kids just live in a house without any parents?"
Adults?
I'd be
it's like an 8-year-old dream come true.
Getting yelled at by your parents all the time.
I can just eat junk food all day and you're yes,
living the dream. No bedtime.
Get all the girls to make us food or whatever.
That was the second show on different.
Oh well, okay.
But yeah,
but either way,
they would do it naturally because they learned their role quickly.
It sounded like a really exciting prospect. 10 boys alone in the house with no rules. He says, "I was psyched up for a fun time when I walked in. There was a massive banner above the stairs saying there were no rules and inflatable chairs full of sweets."
Yes.
Cool.
The cupboards were full of pot of noodles and water pistols. But soon I realized it was going to be horrible. We descended into hell.
Can we?
Wow.
Can we
this
do
is
this?
Very dramatic.
Can we do this at Porkfest with adults?
Right. No rules. Unlimited sweets.
We could actually. We just need a campsite and a big old tent.
Yeah.
And then a banner outside that says, "Entering this doorway, there are no rules." And then you walk in, you got couple of
sweets and water pistols.
Yeah, a couple of chairs full of, whatever, Jolly Ranchers and M&Ms or whatever.
Some blow-up furniture.
And super soakers, right?
Yes.
Definitely inflatable furniture because you're going to have the water all over the place. You don't want to.
And inflatable other things if it's only dudes. So.
Yeah. Or either way, right?
Sure, why not?
So that's actually the end of that particular article. But how could you think this was a good idea in the first place?
Because from an 8-year-old boy's perspective, this sounds awesome.
Parents, though.
I think there was money involved.
Well, of course there was.
Of course.
They don't mention that in this particular article.
And
they
I
don't
think the reason...
mention how much did the parents receive by forcing their children into this laborious work, which they, had to be filmed, all this kind of stuff and coached
laborious
up.
Work?
Well, right. They're basically profiting off of pimping out their children.
Yeah.
Right. The kids didn't receive any pay. The parents did.
Okay.
Right. That's generally how these things work out, right? Because parents are legal guardians of the children.
That's generally how child actors work, too.
Which is way worse than this, I think. I also think that the reason why, 10 years later, they're all coming out against this is because now there might be a lawsuit involved and they have to, play it up to seem worse than it really was.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If the money wasn't involved, would they have been like, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's let little Billy in on this thing. Yeah. Or they were like, well, it's a TV show and little Billy will be famous. Oh, we get like $2,000 a day or whatever it is. I don't know how much they're getting. But, I think money was a factor. And now that they've spent the money, they're like, yeah, I feel bad having done that to little Billy. And Billy feels bad, too, because he got into a fight with the other gang and, whatever.
It couldn't have been a lot of money, right? I don't know how much reality shows pay, but it's more of the influencer dilemma, right? Like you get notoriety and then you can go do other things.
Right.
And if you don't pull that off, well, then that's on you. But we're giving you your chance. This is your breakthrough opportunity, little Billy. Make a name for yourself.
God damn it, Billy.
If they're going to separate into two gangs, you lead one of them.
You take that conch and you don't be afraid to smack him upside the head with it.
Don't let anybody else grab the conch. You sleep with that thing.
Oh, my goodness.
Conch goes to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom.
This premise might make an interesting reality show with adults.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What's the one where they put everybody in a house together and make it
Real World?
Real World, yes, something like that. Except
Road Rules, Big Brother.
Do an actual Lord of the Fly. Put them on an island somewhere, like a small island. Like I know there's
Naked
islands.
and Afraid. Love Island.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right, yeah, yep. Naked and Afraid was another one. I don't watch any of these shows, by the way. I like when reality TV first came upon the. I'm older than reality television. There was a day when it didn't exist, and then one day it existed and took over MTV.
Jenny McCarthy came along,
and that's how MTV died.
Yeah,
with reality TV.
Well, that's how
I
MTV
will say,
was
the
resurrected.
Osbournes, though.
Yeah, okay.
I never watched
Except
that
Ozzy was faking it the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dang.
But the last episode, like, oh, can I
just-
stop playing this stupid thing now?
I
I'm like, okay,
immediately
Ozzy.
identified reality television as something to occupy the zombies.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's literally what it was. It's like, yeah, you get home from your busy day at work. You want your mind to be as numb as possible from the horrific day that you just had. And so you click on some
It's
reality
escapism.
TV. It is escapism. And it makes you feel better about yourself by laughing at the fate of others.
Well, and that's the thing. So I think in most reality TV is very dramatic. There's always something happening. I mean, it's the same with the news.
Yep.
People like watching it because it makes them feel better about the drama and the turmoil within themselves.
Right.
There was one on Fox that I thought had a very interesting premise, and it was supposed to be like a forever show called like Eden or something, right?
That sounds familiar.
Okay. Well, it's not Exit to Eden the movie. That's completely different.
Like
Okay.
it's a series.
Well, it was just a show. I don't remember the name of it, but that's what I recall.
Okay.
But it was for every episode you're on, you get like a stipend of money, right? And then you can stay on the show as long as you want and continue to accrue this stipend. But the minute you want off of the show, you got to give back half your money.
Oh.
So it's
half, huh?
Yeah. But then it didn't last. It only lasted like half a season or whatever, and then it was gone. I was like, oh man. But
Somebody take all the money?
I don't know. Yeah, the executive producers.
I'm making an executive decision. Oh, this money is mine now.
Yes. But I mean, as a concept, right? Like, how long until you get sick of being on a reality show, and then is it worth giving back half of what you've already earned? They're going to tax you. They're going to tax you to leave. I just want to go home. It'll be half.
Pay up.
Pay up. There was another funny dating one where it was like a whole bunch of dudes and the chick, right? And there was
Bachelor?
No, it was like a Confederate. There was a gay dude in the bunch.
Oh,
and if the gay dude won the competition, he got the money, right? Because he convinced her.
That's kind of, I don't know if I like that.
Okay, whatever. But she had to like filter out all these guys,
Yeah,
like
see which one's
which
gay.
one's the
Oh man.
good times.
Definitely good times. I still just can't imagine if I had kids and somebody approached me with they wanted my kid to be on. I'd be like, no, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, they probably didn't approach you, man. They probably held auditions. They went, hey, we're doing this thing, make 2,000 pounds or $1, whatever it was. And they went, little Billy, we need this money. So you'd be real nice to that executive when we go in there.
Like, unless
we're going to be on TV.
Unless the kid initiated it, right? If the kid was like, hey, Dad, I seen this ad in the whatever, right, online, whatever it is, on my social media or something, right? Yeah. I seen this ad and they're doing this TV show. They're having auditions. You could drive me to, like, if it was the kid's idea and the kid wanted to do the thing, I'd consider that. But I don't think that that's the case for these kids, any of them, much less maybe one of them, right? But certainly not all of them. And I think it's probably the case where this is parental exploitation of their children for financial gain.
Sure.
Typically is.
Yeah.
Not that people haven't been doing that since the dawn of man, right? I mean,
this is not a new concept.
You would have children to
somebody needs to till the farm.
Right. You would have children to work the farm and that kind of thing.
Imagine the farm you could run with 58 kids.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have to hire a farmhand for ever.
Yeah, like ever, really. Yeah.
And then you die and they're fighting over who gets the farm.
Employees with no pay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's great.
Well, Billy, got to get up at the butt crack of dawn and go milk some cows.
But Mom, I don't want. I want to be on TV. Well,
Got to go bale some hay.
There's this reality show coming up, and you could earn some extra cash for the farm.
Maybe that's how they buy the farm. No pun intended. Is by sending their kids onto a reality TV show, collecting the money, and then literally purchasing a farm.
I mean, quick money like
do.
that, right? If you can get a quick money influx, like we talked earlier with the cryptocurrency, right?
Yep.
If you could turn a profit really quickly and get out with your investment, then you could use that money more productively for other things and build upon it.
That is true. That is a fact.
So we need some seed money for this other venture, and we're going to go make it by working.
So if you had $1 billion and you bought an island, basically, do you think that you would get harassed by the cops on the island you own?
No, king of the island.
King of the island.
King of the island.
What do you think?
I don't. Probably would get harassed.
If you had enough money to buy an island and then...
How do you buy the island and not buy the police, though?
Well,
so the police are already on the island, or are the police from the outside?
This from sfgate.com. Billionaire Larry Ellison ticketed by Lanai cop on Hawaii island he owns.
Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah, I think...
I wouldn't have cops. Okay, if I owned an island, there would not be cops there.
First of all,
you would think.
It's his first mistake.
The United States government owns Hawaii, so for this guy to be able to have bought an island, I think is not quite accurate.
No, yeah.
He owns 98% of the
property.
land.
He owns the property.
But if he stops paying, the government comes in and takes it away.
What's the tax rate on an island?
Well,
I don't know.
So what I'm thinking is, if I own property, so if I own a ranch in Texas, let's say, hundreds of acres, there won't be necessarily cops patrolling the land. I would think that they wouldn't be able to come on my property.
This is private property.
Yeah. They wouldn't be able to come on my property unless I gave them permission or if they were there for a reason.
Yeah,
so he was venturing out on the 2% he doesn't own?
Possibly.
Why would you even do that?
I mean, roads, are built and other structures and that kind of thing on islands. So, maybe he owns the plots of land, but I'm certain that he doesn't own the roads and that kind of a thing.
Well, you're a billionaire. Build your own roads. Can't be that hard.
Build your own island.
Well, that's a little bit more difficult. Out of plastic or something.
Yeah. Anyway, not even a 98% ownership stake on a Hawaii island can get you out of getting ticketed for driving without a license. That's the lesson that ex-Silicon Valley tech billionaire Larry Ellison learned the hard way.
I love that he doesn't have a license.
It's his island.
That's just awesome, though.
I do, too. And in
for him.
fact, no one really should need to have one.
No.
In my opinion.
Shouldn't need to have anything.
Oh, food, water.
Well, okay, but
You don't need to have. I mean, you shouldn't be forced to have that.
Yeah,
if
you
don't want to.
shouldn't need to pay a fee to the masters in order to engage in what should be a right, which is the right to travel.
Yep.
The lesson that he learned the hard way, according to a Tuesday report in Hawaii News Now, the Oracle co-founder, according to the Hawaii news outlet, was driving his orange Chevy Corvette one October evening when he was stopped by a police officer. The interaction was filmed by the officer's body camera.
Did he try the "Do you know who I am"?
Oh, I don't know. The reason I stopped you is you ran through the stop sign and you were kind of speeding there, the officer said.
There's only 2 of us on this island. Just leave me alone.
Ellison explained that he was trying to get home for dinner with my kids, but apologized. His kids, David and Megan, are both big-time Hollywood producers. The latter founded the indie production company Annapurna. Okay. Don't know why they felt the need to include that. He also allegedly did not have his driver's license on hand when the officer asked for documentation. Ellison was ticketed, but it's unclear what fine or penalty he received as a result of the alleged traffic violations.
Blowing a stop sign and driving without a license?
A representative for Maui Police did not immediately respond to a request.
So, in Honolulu, at least, on a different island.
Right, because you're the Hawaii man.
Right.
You've been accused of being the budget Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
But anywho, my fine for not driving with the license was only like $100.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm.
But it wasn't fine driving without a license. You received a fine that you had to pay.
Understood. But I'm saying in his case, like we don't know how much this fine is.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's not that much.
You're here to tell us it's like $100.
It was $100 on a different island in a different jurisdiction. It was $100. I can't imagine it being significantly more.
Right, yeah. Probably
on the island that
within
he owns.
$100 of the $100 originally, yeah. Ellison hasn't quite earned the goodwill of his neighbors and lawmakers who reside on the island. Really?
Kick him off.
I would have never guessed that, what with you pulling him over and giving him a ticket despite owning 98% of the land.
Just buy the last 2% and kick off the politicians.
That's probably the 2% he can't, is the stuff that's owned by the state that they won't sell.
Build an army.
The Oracle Army.
There you go. We patrol these streets now.
His company, Lanai Resorts, gated public access to the island's only swimmable beach last year, violating Hawaii law in the process and eliciting a warning from Maui County.
You know, you can't put a gate up on your property, sir.
Yeah.
But it's my property.
You don't own the beach, we do, is what the state is saying to him.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that you purchased it and it falls within your property lines, according to, us, the state, right? You still don't own it, we do. You're really just renting it from us for the long term.
That is a weird thing. Like there are neighborhoods on the island where it's like the nicest houses, right?
Yeah.
Different island, right? And they're forced to like build a walkway to get to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
The beach is for everybody. You must allow us passage.
Some communities, as we all know, have let the elite just, run wild. Maui County Councilman Gabe Johnson, who lives on the island, told Hawaii News Now he also did not immediately respond to a request or comment on this story. So, apparently,
so he's not being accountable to the people.
Yeah, rich guy, is not getting along with the law enforcement.
As most people don't.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, in Hawaii, you know how a lot of the beaches here you have to pay to go on the beach? Is that not a thing in Hawaii?
There might be some private beaches, but generally, no.
Okay,
you just go to the
cool.
beach.
I like that.
Might be hard to find parking sometimes.
Yeah, but
beach might be crowded, but no, free access all the way around.
If you had a male child and then you went to the beach, would you have a son on the beach?
You would.
Very good.
And some fun on the beach.
Sun and fun.
Mm-hmm.
So Hawaii
sand gets into some weird places.
Yeah. Whenever you see like the bikini girl, like the Sports Illustrated or whatever, the bikini girls on the beach or whatever, and they got sand like all over like their side or their thigh or whatever, I'm like, ooh.
That's just what you see.
Because that's like, it's sandpaper when you get like, two bodies, one of them sandy and like you press together.
Talk to Major Payne about that grit.
Or minor ache.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about minor ache.
It's a very gritty subject.
It is.
603-283-6160.
All of a sudden you got sand in your mouth.
Coming up, we'll talk about a university banning a word and a raccoon who got rescued by a railroad worker for a bizarre reason.
Free Talk Live.
I'm sure I can speak for many of thousands. I don't fear illegals. I don't want them here and their filth that they bring with and the disease that they bring with.
All the people who work in the stores and the markets and the restaurants are overwhelmingly Hispanic, and they seem very clean and be doing a fine job here, and I've never heard anything about problems with disease.
For you to defend the illegal immigrants, and I'm not sure, as I said earlier, which host at what time is very condescending.
Madam, I will defend anybody that is peaceful and looking for a better life for themselves. We already pointed out.
I don't defend them. I wish that people like you.
You say that Mexicans are filthy, and you call me condescending, lady? You say they're disease-ridden and filthy, and I'm condescending?
And they are. And
You're outrageous. You're out of here. Thank you for the call.
She's had all her rope. She's hung herself.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting at a ballroom dance studio in a city about 8 miles east of Los Angeles. Authorities have been searching for a suspect following the incident on Saturday night, which occurred over a Lunar New Year weekend event in Monterey Park, which attracts thousands of people to the area. Sunday's festivities were cancelled after the shooting, in which at least 5 men and 5 women were killed. Earlier, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna gave this update on the investigation.
There is a male suspect that fled the scene and remains outstanding, described as a male Asian.
That was according to early information which identified the suspect as aged between 30 and 50 years old. Monterey Park has a significant Asian American population. It's one of the largest in the United States. But officials said the motive for the gun attack, which wounded at least 10 others, is still not clear. Police are looking into whether or not the shooting was connected to another incident that occurred around 17 minutes later at a nearby city of Alhambra, where witnesses at a dance venue said an Asian man had walked in with a gun. No one was harmed, and the suspect reportedly fled in a white van after people managed to take the weapon away from him. Police later released a photograph of the suspect wearing glasses, a beanie and a black leather jacket. SWAT teams have since been involved in a standoff with a white cargo van in Torrance, south of Monterey Park, that could be connected to the shooting. Chris Hipkins, the man chosen by New Zealand's Labour Party to replace Jacinda Ardern, says tackling inflation will be at the top of his agenda. He is due to officially become the country's next Prime Minister from Wednesday after Ardern stunned the world by announcing she was stepping down. In a series of interviews on Sunday, Hipkins said he would focus on what he called bread and butter issues, such as the cost of living. The Labour Party is currently behind in the polls, with some suggesting Labour could suffer significant losses in October's general election. Republicans have continued their criticism of Joe Biden after 6 more documents were discovered in the US president's Delaware residence. According to a statement from the president's personal lawyer, some of them had classified markings going back to the days when he was Delaware's senator, and others were handwritten notes from his time as US vice president. They were unearthed following an almost 13-hour search by the Justice Department on Friday. Bob Bauer didn't explain why the search was needed, other than to say the offer was made by the president's legal team in the interest of moving the process forward as expeditiously as possible. This follows the earlier discovery of documents at his home in Wilmington, as well as at a private office he occupied at a Washington, D.C. think tank. Republicans have taken the opportunity to slam the US president, with Congressman Mike Turner accusing Joe Biden of being a serial classified document hoarder. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more depth today at the World Economic Forum in Davos and questions about whether, as an influential event, it's past its sell-by date. Last week, the world's captains of industry and finance made their annual trek to the alpine ski town to meet some world leaders, but notably not all. The price for commercial organisations to attend this year soared from $50,000 a ticket to $250,000.
There were 1 or 2 people people who felt that this was ridiculous profit gouging. Also, some who complained it was being used as a tool to select people whose voices would be milder mannered than others.
Lord Mark Malloch Brown was there. He's the president of the Open Society Foundations, which funds independent groups working to advance justice, democracy and human rights. Does he think Davos still serves a purpose?
Well, I think for a while it was, quite a legitimate platform for announcements in the great era of globalization. That legitimacy is gone. What remains is a really still useful networking place where you can test ideas, hear interesting new ideas, but above all, meet dozens of people who it would take months of travel to meet.
But it is a long way to go and a lot of money to spend to achieve that, especially with a global recession looming. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting at a ballroom dance studio in a city about 8 miles east of Los Angeles. Chris Hipkins, the man chosen by New Zealand's Labour Party to replace Jacinda Ardern, says tackling inflation will be at the top of his agenda. And Republicans continue their criticism of President Biden after 6 more documents were discovered in the US president's Delaware residence. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
U.S. presidents often take credit for solving complex issues with many moving parts, whether they deserve that credit or not. But how much impact can a sitting president really have on the tides? We all know that presidents like to take credit for the undulations of the briny deep, when it suits them, that is, and we Americans are quick to blame whoever is in power for the multitudinous seas. During Eisenhower's administration in the 1950s, citizens took to the streets to protest his inability to harness the unruly waves, but Ike shifted blame for the tides that year onto a heron that had recently been born with a raven's head. But the truth is, when a president is in office, there's only so much he can do. Sure, the president can bring an amulet with the Eye of Horus to the top of the tallest peak, or spread lamb's blood on the base of an elm tree during a lunar eclipse. In reality, it's hard for anyone to know with true certainty how the tides will play out under any administration. For The Onion, I'm Eliza Hayes.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
And we're back. Hour number 3 of Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition, is now underway. Congratulations, you've tuned into the right place.
At the right time.
At the right time. Don't touch that dial or podcast device or phone or whatever it is you're using to
touch the volume dial, though. Crank it up.
Turn it up. It's Freebird, man. It's Freedom Rock. I used to listen to this syndicated radio program back in the early 80s called Metal Shop, the only show with teeth. And one of their slogans as they would come back from breaks would be like, Metal Shop, if it's too loud, you're too old.
I love that.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be the opposite, though? Because old people are deaf, right? You know what I mean?
Old people are always telling the
It's
kids
like,
to turn it down.
yeah.
Turn down that racket. That's not music.
Nikki never got to experience
Turn it
Headbangers
up.
Ball.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
She didn't miss out. Ricky Rackman's a giant douchebag anyway,
right.
so, you know.
It was the metal show on MTV.
Adam
videos.
Curry was also a poser of Potsy-like proportions. He was all preppy and everything, and then, like, they gave him the Headbangers Ball, and like Ricky Rackman to some extent too, right? As soon as they gave him the Headbangers Ball, all of a sudden, Ricky Rackman got full sleeves since last week of tattoos or whatever, right? He never had a tattoo in his life. He'd be wearing pink shirts and what do you call them? What are the tan
polos?
Yeah, polos, khakis, yeah, that kind of a thing. And then all of a sudden he's like leather and spikes and tattoos and bandanas and crap.
It's what the Satan music does to you.
Well, no, it's what the producers told him that he had to do to change his image in order to continue hosting the Headbangers Ball.
Nope, it's the metal, evil metal music.
He did what his boss told him to do. What a douchebag.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I didn't like that guy.
What a sellout.
Totally. What a sellout, man. He did what his boss told him to do. I have to say some things. What do I have to say?
Say them in the right order this time.
No, I have to say thank you to a couple of different people.
You're welcome.
Other than the co-hosts here in the studio, which, by the way, who are you?
I'm Nikki.
And Rich.
And I'm the captain. The telephone number, if you want to join us, is 603-283-6160. We do have some callers on hold. We'll get to them in just a moment. But I want to say thank you to David Burns and Carlos. Both David Burns and Carlos are platinum-level amplifiers. That means they give a bunch of money to Free Talk Live every month because they like the show. They like the hosts, the co-hosts, the perspective that we bring of freedom, peace, prosperity on the radio. They want to see this radio program reach more listeners with our message of freedom, and so they have donated a bunch of money. Platinum level is no joke. We only ask for $5. If you want to, join Carlos and David Burns in becoming an amplifier, visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com. And you can contribute as well. You do get some things, or some little gifty perk kind of things. One of them is the Amp Only podcast, which is completely commercial free. So if you miss any of the episodes live, or you just don't have the time to listen to them with the commercials in it, you can get it commercial free by becoming an amplifier. That's not why you should give. You should give because you like the perspective of freedom and wish to see that message spread, and you feel that the best use of your dollar is to contribute to amps.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, David Burns and Carlos. We appreciate you both.
And if you like being recognized on the air, let Mark know at mark@freetalklive.com.
Can I just say, hey, Mark, I like being recognized on the air?
I mean, you can, but they should send an email so Mark knows.
They can't just call and be like, hey,
Well, when Mark's on the air, sure.
Okay.
But how often is that?
I mean, couldn't they call and just say, hey, tell Mark that I said.
Or they could, So making it a lot of work.
I feel like
mark@freetalklive.com.
I feel like, I know for a fact the world has certainly gotten away from making phone calls.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that.
Right? Like, it's an uncommon thing. Like, it used to be the first thing you would think of. Like, something would happen, you'd be like, I got to tell Dave. I'm going to call Dave. That doesn't happen now. You're like, I got to tell Dave. I got to log into my thing and blah, 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 and private message him and wait for him to reply and whatever.
I mean, only if what you have to tell Dave you don't want the FBI knowing about.
Well, even if you do, neither the phone nor the device are.
Drive to his house, bang on the door, Look.
And I mean,
that's
we know
even worse than phone calls now.
Like, we know for a fact that
who's that at the door?
Yeah, you better not show up here.
We know for a fact federales are listening to this very program.
Understood.
So, it has been confirmed by the federales themselves while attending Ian's trial. So, at any rate, what were we talking about?
We were moving on.
To your calls and thoughts. We have Bad Slave calling from New Hampshire.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Wow, you're welcome.
I wanted to bring up Cripes.
Should have wrote it down, bro. Should have wrote it down.
Well, I have two things. There's a.
Do you remember the other one?
You're making him nervous.
That's true.
Sorry, I won't make you nervous anymore.
Compliance or something like that. It's actually a documentary of the details of kind of the nuts and bolts of how the different state and local and people governments work in America, and it's a lot of information that I don't think it's pretty obvious to me that that people don't know these things very well.
Do you think the documentary would convince everybody to change their mind, though? Because I feel like people are set in their ways. And you go like, just check out this video, man. It'll explain everything.
Maybe some people.
You think?
Some people just honestly don't know some of this stuff, and if they open their eyes to it, they might be open to it.
All right.
A lot of people that are, wondering how do we get here?
Yes, we know.
And it just seems crazy. It's done by this woman, Christiane. She's in Florida. She's a real liberty person.
What's the name of it?
Compliance.
Film? What year was it made? 2012?
No, it's brand new.
Oh.
Just came out. It's being released right now. I just pulled it up.
October 2020. No, so those both.
I mean, there was also like the monopoly on violence, right? That was supposed to explain how government works and supposed to get people rallied around freedom and liberty. And
that didn't work.
Of course not. You're not going to convince people that they want to be free. You just have to free them, like 8-year-olds in a house all by themselves. See what happens.
Lord of the Flies.
The name of it is Non-Compliant.
That's better.
Go on.
Isn't that Captain's song? Oh, we will not comply.
So the name of that song is actually called "It's Time."
It's time.
Yeah. I haven't actually mentioned that. I should start mentioning that every time I'm on this show, that I am going to be releasing a 3-song EP of, we'll call it heavy metal. Okay. It's not really thrash metal. It has a little bit of thrash element to it, but it's more just like standard heavy metal.
On guitar, Captain Kickass.
Well, on everything
on
except
bass,
for
Captain Kickass.
Yeah, on vocals, on backup vocals. It's truly the Captain Kickass solo project, except for
the pork fat. Yeah,
I did get some help on a couple of tracks. My friend Steven contributed drums. My friend Sean contributed drums on one song each, and then I did the drums on the third song. And then my friend Chris did bass on the song called Words. And then also my friend Chris, my friend Brent, and my friend Steven all helped with backup vocals on Words as well. So I had some help, and I've given them credits, of course. And
the Pork Fest chant. That's the best
The
part.
Pork Fest Liberty Chorus appears. So if you were at Pork Fest and you participated in the Pork Fest picture, you noticed that I was there with some recording equipment, and I had a couple people holding signs up that said, "We will not comply." We engaged in a chant of "We will not comply," like a whole bunch of times. I recorded all of that. I multed it on top of itself, which means I just made it sound like there were a whole bunch more of us that were there to make it sound really big. And then I put that at the end of the very last track called "It's Time." So it sort of ends with the Porkfest Liberty Chorus chanting "We will not comply" over and over again, and sort of fades out from there. So it's pretty cool. If you were at that, you're on this record. So I just want to...
You're famous!
Yeah, let our listeners know. The official release date is July 4th of this year, but it will be available at Porkfest and Forkfest. And I hope to have some other stuff to announce about that later on as time goes on, as we get closer to that date. But that's the plan currently.
I hope that chant gets as famous as Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, maybe.
Good work, Captain. Good work.
Hey, thanks. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Bad Slave. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. I remembered what I was thinking about was a guy on his own island, in his car or whatever. Yeah, well, there is still a retained right to travel. What they call driving is a commercial activity. Yeah, I mean, you must know some of this stuff, but Jay Noon does not use a driver's license, and if Ellison was properly prepared, I think he could have talked the.
I don't think Ellison cares because he's rich.
And
right?
From what I understand, he did have a license. The story made it seem like he did have a license,
but
he just didn't have it on him.
So affidavit with the license, whatever, and he's off the hook.
Which is strange that even nowadays that's a thing, because they can just look you up and see if you have a valid driver's license or not.
You got to know who you are.
If they can access it digitally, then that should be plenty. But the fact is that we have still a right to travel, and that none of us need driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
None of us need registrations. None of us need insurance. All of that stuff is a layer of bureaucracy that's been, tacked on to commercial use of the public way called driving.
I agree with you in theory, but we cannot ignore the practical application of exercising that theory. Right, which is
no, you're not going to be allowed to. The fact is that you say, hey, I'm a private operator. I don't need a license, and thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Right.
Try to drive away.
Your car's still going to get towed.
You're still going right. So here's. I'm going to get deep for a minute.
In some cases, these people are able to deal with it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to get deep.
Richard.
I'm going to get deep for a minute because this goes down. This is like the fundamentals of what we describe as rights, right? And a right is like one of two things: that which everyone has agreed upon, or that which you can defend, right? So if you're saying I have a right to travel without a license, everyone has to agree with you, or you have to defend that right. And I don't know, you're not, defending it against the cops on the side of the road, probably not the best idea.
Right, like you think of Old West, right? You just, get in your horse, maybe you're pulling a little wagon behind you or something like that, and, you are free to travel, and you would go ahead and travel. Now, if somebody came up and tried to rob you, or
a bandit of some kind,
you would indeed have to defend yourself.
They would disagree with your right to travel. They would, they would argue that, nope, this is our road.
Or try and charge you in some way or whatever it is.
Right. Bridge troll.
Right. And so when that happens, right, there's a disagreement, there's a conflict of what your rights are, and your only recourse is to negotiate out of it or defend it. Right. If you negotiate out of it and get them to agree with you that this is my right to travel,
right,
all well and good, but the likelihood is the bandit on the side of the road or the troll under the bridge is not going to come into agreement with you at that time, and you are going to be forced to defend yourself against that violent encroachment on their part. And the same goes with exercising this right to travel, and I'm just going to put on private plates on my car because I'm a sovereign citizen of the world. Like, you're probably right. There's probably some historical precedent in the law somewhere that makes this true,
right?
But the practical application does not bear it out.
Well, and not only so you're right from the fundamental perspective. You're also correct from even the legal perspective, because the men with guns and the blue and red flashing lights will either ticket you or detain you and chuck you in a cage, and you're going to have to defend that in a court. So either way, you're going to have to defend it, and defending it in court while it may seem completely legal to you, and you have followed the exact letter of the law on every technicality that you can find within the law itself. The law itself, either the jury or the judges, can very well just say, nope, sorry, it's illegal anyway, and you're sentenced to whatever.
I've experienced that. We don't have to share a.
We've
got a
awoken.
Guest speaker.
We've awoken a guest speaker. His name is Matt.
Yeah, I'm here, and I just want to kick in on this. This one's near and dear to my heart. I actually beat a no driver's license ticket in 2012.
Yeah.
Based on what we're talking about here, there is a mountain of case law preceding this that says you don't need a driver's license.
Absolutely.
A mountain of case law. Some of it coming straight from the Supreme Court.
Sure.
That said, I beat that case in my hometown. It was one of the most stressful things I've ever been through.
How did you beat it, though? Let me
I presented a brief to the court and I defended it. I put myself on the stand and made the prosecutor really nervous.
Okay.
To be honest, like the look in his eye said he was on a 3-week bender right before coming to court, and I made him really nervous on top of it, so he was having a stressful day. That said, he was extremely combative against me. The judge basically noticed how combative he was and shut him up so that I could talk, because the guy was just interrupting me. He wasn't even objecting. He was just interrupting. And I ended up giving a brief to the judge laying out all the definitions, what the definition of traffic is and things like that. These words have meaning legally, not just colloquially. And sometimes those definitions are totally different.
Yeah. But for every one of you who beat something like this, using the technicalities of the law and the mountain of case law that exists against this. There's probably 50 people who didn't.
Oh, I immediately, 6 months later, I lived in Keene. I lived in New Hampshire 6 months later.
Yeah.
And about a year after that, I got another ticket from a state trooper right out in front of Home Depot in Keene. And I went to fight that one in Keene City Court and lost miserably. They wouldn't even listen to it.
Right.
So buyer beware on using these techniques to try to fight one of these tickets, because
but there's historical precedent. It goes to the Supreme Court.
It doesn't matter at all.
That's my point.
It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter in Ian Freeman's trial. The Crypto 6 trial doesn't matter what the law is, because judges and these legal type government people are just going to make up the rules as they go, whether you like it or not. And that's the end of that.
Right. That's my point with the practical application. Right?
Yeah.
There's precedent, there's case law, there's all this documentation that no, we are correct on this issue.
Right.
And the people with guns go, we don't care.
The government is the mafia that is currently most powerful, and the only time that changes is when another powerful mafia outpowers the one that's existing.
Well, good luck with that.
That shows at the highest levels and in your hometown courtroom repeatly.
Yeah,
well, it is what it is. That's all I had to say.
You're going to owe Nikki like $50 or something now?
Sorry. I bought her a new battery for her car tonight.
So. Oh, okay. Good job. Never mind.
We're even.
That's totally earned.
She got flowers today, too.
Oh, nice.
You guys were saying good luck with that. I'm just saying that if there was any kind of a consensus or just a strong minority of people who agreed with that, that number would be so much greater than the thugs running around.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You can't convince the minority.
But how do we create that, even a larger percentage of people that are even aware of this information, much less who tried to put it to use as a defense? How do we get to that point is always the question, and I don't know the answer, and I'm sure you don't know the answer. Unless you do, tell it to us.
Even beyond this, right? Let's go to taxes. Right, every tax case that comes up with the IRS, right, goes in front of a jury. He was found willful failure to file or didn't pay his fair share.
Right,
and the jury, right, who could acquit him on that and set a precedent that no one needs to pay taxes. Will find him guilty because they're already paying theirs, and he's got to do the same as me.
It's just fair.
Right. It's just fair, right? So the mechanism put in place, right, to get the government off our back through the will of the people at the jury box, right, is misused by most of the jury because they care more about harming their neighbor.
It's a completely ineffective mechanism.
Well, and this goes back to the fact that the jury is supposed to be made up of your peers, and they're absolutely not peers.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. At least not in the case that I witnessed for Ian and the Crypto 6
No,
trial.
absolutely not.
Yeah. Go ahead, Batslave.
Now, I had operating after certified as a habitual offender, and three counties and 5 counts spread across from Coas to Grafton to Hillsborough, yes.
Yeah.
Which the court was in Manchester, and I was trying to use 3 public defenders to defend me from.
Oh, well, there's your problem right there. You got to go pro bono or pro se or pro per, or whatever the right term is, because they're not going to defend you using these techniques.
And there were questions that I asked them that they wouldn't even include my suggestion into the the defense that I wanted.
Yeah, because the defense that they're going to put on is the one that makes them look good in front of the judge, because they have to go see that judge again for some other client in the future, and they don't want to get on the judge's bad side.
Right.
And if they don't know anything about the defense that the specific defense that you're trying to put forward, then they just can't, and they're not willing to do the work to look it up and, put their neck out on the
Not
line
as the public
for it.
defender.
Yeah, and
No, absolutely not.
particularly as and they're to them, the suggestions that you're making, Bad Slave, are going to sound shady, right? Because they've never heard of them before, and they're not taught in their law school. And
This
they're like,
case law is from the 6th Circuit, not the 5th Circuit, so it doesn't apply to you, sir.
And thanks for the call, Bad Slave. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's just like, it sounds shady to them. They're not going to use it because it seems illogical, and they know they're not going to win. 603-283-6160. More of your calls and thoughts coming up. It's Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. At least 10 people have been killed in a shooting at a ballroom dance studio in a city about 8 miles east of Los Angeles. Authorities have been searching for a suspect following the incident on Saturday night, which occurred over a Lunar New Year weekend event in Monterey Park, which attracts thousands of people to the area. Sunday's festivities were cancelled after the shooting, in which at least 5 men and 5 women were killed. Earlier, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna gave this update on the investigation.
There is a male suspect that fled the scene and remains outstanding, described as a male Asian.
That was according to early information which identified the suspect as aged between 30 and 50 years old. Monterey Park has a significant Asian American population. It's one of the largest in the United States. But officials said the motive for the gun attack, which wounded at least 10 others, is still not clear. Police are looking into whether or not the shooting was connected to another incident that occurred around 17 minutes later at a nearby city of Alhambra, where witnesses at a dance venue said an Asian man had walked in with a gun. No one was harmed, and the suspect reportedly fled in a white van after people managed to take the weapon away from him. Police later released a photograph of the suspect wearing glasses, a beanie and a black leather jacket. SWAT teams have since been involved in a standoff with a white cargo van in Torrance, south of Monterey Park, that could be connected to the shooting. Chris Hipkins, the man chosen by New Zealand's Labour Party to replace Jacinda Ardern, says tackling inflation will be at the top of his agenda. He is due to officially become the country's next Prime Minister from Wednesday, after Ardern stunned the world by announcing she was stepping down. In a series of interviews on Sunday, Hipkins said he would focus on what he called bread and butter issues, such as the cost of living. The Labour Party is currently behind in the polls, with some suggesting Labour could suffer significant losses in October's general election. Republicans have continued their criticism of Joe Biden after 6 more documents were discovered in the US president's Delaware residence. According to a statement from the president's personal lawyer, some of them had classified markings going back to the days when he was Delaware's senator, and others were handwritten notes from his time as US vice president. They were unearthed following an almost 13-hour search by the Justice Department on Friday. Bob Bauer didn't explain why the search was needed, other than to say the offer was made by the president's legal team in the interest of moving the process forward as expeditiously as possible. This follows the earlier discovery of documents at his home in Wilmington, as well as at a private office he occupied at a Washington, D.C. think tank. Republicans have taken the opportunity to slam the US president, with Congressman Mike Turner accusing Joe Biden of being a serial classified document hoarder. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
We're back. That was a lot of build-up and sort of a letdown of the. We're back.
Yep.
A little off the cliff there. Ramp up, big ramp, little cliff. It's Free Talk Live. The final segment. 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts.
Final segment, but plenty of time for your calls.
Momentarily.
Ironically.
Well, we got a couple callers on hold already, so we'll see what happens. But certainly give us a try. 603-283-6160 in the studio. It's me, Captain.
It's me, Nikki.
And Richie Rich.
You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 15th through the 18th for the 7th Annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out in 2022. For 2023, we're going back to where it all started, the weekend before Pork Fest. Fork Fest is decentralized, which means there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you need to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 15th through the 18th. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party, where you can connect with other attendees. You can also find the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms and the Forkfest forum. Links to all of those can be found at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there, forkfest.party.
Should live stream it, call it reality TV of some kind.
If only the internet up there was capable.
Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking on that note, YouTube is the real reality TV. When people do vlogs and stuff, that's way more real than whatever reality TV is not real at all.
Also, before we go on, I just want to mention our previous caller in the last segment mentioned a documentary. It looks like it's called Non-Compliant, with a singular compliant.
Hard T.
It is available at libertyfirstsociety.com/non-compliant, a documentary film. I think if you just go to libertyfirstsociety.com, there's links to get you to watch the film there. It's free to watch.
Cool.
So if you want to check it out, feel free to do so.
What's that website again?
libertyfirstsociety.com.
Cool.
All spelled out. No numerals or anything. I'm not familiar with the website at all. They obviously didn't pay me to, pimp this movie at all, so I haven't watched it, so don't take it as a recommendation. Bad Slavehead recommended it, one of our callers. So
take it as his recommendation.
Want to tell folks where they might be able to find it.
All emails should be sent to badslave@freetalklive.
Oh, boy. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. We've got Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good to be on the show with you. So it seems like Albuquerque, we're going to be keeping a free bus ride fare. I mean,
well, somebody's paying for it.
Well, they're tossing it back and forth about they were going to do it for another 6 months. But for me, I prefer the free bus ride because
because it doesn't cost you anything. Somebody else is paying for it.
I like when other people pay for my stuff, too.
Well, think about it. I only ride the bus maybe 10, 12 times a month. So $2 bus pass is about, $20 a month? It's not the money cost of it. It's the hassle of having the change ready and my hands all dirty, putting it in the bus, and sometimes I leave without
Yeah, they make
wallet.
bus pass cards, and you can just load them up whenever you need them, and it's fine.
She says like $20 a month.
No. You can buy reloadable bus cards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where it's like you've got a zero balance, and then you throw $20 on it, and then it's just sitting there for whenever you need it, and you don't have to. You just flash it in front of the thing, and it's fine.
Oh, it's the smart. I've seen those people do that. They flash the smartphone and they load it up on the phone. That's how they do it.
Yeah, you got to get with the times there, Sarah.
You don't even need a card anymore.
It's 2023.
Well, I still have a dumb phone, but that's not the problem. Is that what I noticed is that when we were used to pay, there was to me, as much as the fighting and all kinds of crazy things going on when we were paying for the bus. In fact, there was a lot of fights and arguments with people trying to argue and fight with getting on the bus, and they're asking for bus fares going up and down the aisle, and then I had to help them
the
out.
bus police. Yeah. I ran into those guys in Seattle while I was riding the bus. My car I didn't have one at the time, and I was riding the bus. My employer paid for a bus pass, but I was working weird hours, and so I would, come home late at night. And they have these. They're not police, but they're wearing Seattle police uniforms. No, they're bus police is what they are. So they're not armed with guns. So they have a police utility belt, the police shirt, the Seattle Police Department patches and insignia on them, but their jacket says something like transit police, right? And they don't have a gun. They do have a billy club, they do have handcuffs, and they have the police radio as well.
Weird.
And so what they're doing is they're looking for people who are free riding. Right? You didn't pay the fare, you don't have a pass, get off the bus, kind of a thing, right? And I'm like, what? It costs them more to employ these people than it does to just let a couple of people ride for free.
That's a great point.
Well, but if you didn't have the police, you'd have more people trying to ride for free.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. No, that's kind of
like Sarah.
The thing. No, it's just that over here they get on the bus drunk and they
get on the bus. Well, you want them driving drunk? Of course they're going to take the bus.
Look at it. I mean, I was on the Central bus at like 9:30 at night, like 10 o'clock, and I turn around. There's these two guys fist fighting in the middle of the bus, and I'm ducking.
And you got free entertainment?
I mean, it is Albuquerque.
Like, you got a reality TV show going on right in front of you, Sarah. If you had not a dumb phone, you could have filmed that, put it on the internet, and gotten viewers to like your page on your TikTok or whatever.
Bum fights would have had fun.
Sarah, thank you for the call. We're gonna move on. Have a good night. Let's do that. Let's just move on to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Frying pan into the fire.
You're shocked?
I'm shocked at Nikki's preference of plastic over natural.
Plastic
what? What do you mean?
Well, condoms.
Oh, latex instead of the sheepskin.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Not a sheepskin girl, sorry.
I mean.
So you prefer plastic over
I'm not going
matte,
to tell you what I prefer.
Well, this is all hypothetical anyway.
She probably prefers not to be talking to you about this crap anyway.
Well, well, maybe I should talk to Matt. So you might also, if
you were so lucky he took the headphones off.
If you prefer plastic over sheepskin, bladder. So do you prefer, or would somebody else who was female might prefer plastic other things over real flesh other things?
I'm assuming they would, yes.
Clearly.
I just like the fact that two or three of us have said the word wood like 18 times in the last 4 seconds.
There you go.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
If a woodchuck could chuck wood.
If a wood... And that woodchuck, that brings up the question of beavers then. What would beavers do?
Well...
Not let you anywhere near them.
You don't know beavers. You don't know beavers.
So Ward, don't you think you were a little hard on the beaver last night?
Hard on the beef?
I've heard that before.
You have actually. That was actually said in an episode of Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard that before. That's what I was saying.
I thought you said you never heard it before.
No, I didn't throw a never in there.
Nah.
I never use the word never.
I never thought you would.
But that brings up another question, though, Nikki. So, assuming that you eat meat, and you might like a good sausage from time to time.
I don't.
Well, you probably had one in your life.
Yeah.
Have you had enough sausages that you have a preference over natural or plastic?
Sausage?
I honestly, you mean the casing?
I've never had.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, all right. I think David, thanks for the call. I think he's getting a little carried away there.
Probably.
Sausage casing on Free Talk Live.
Sounds like David's at a sausage fest anyway.
No beavers of that thing.
All right. So I've been wanting to get to this topic, this story, all night.
It
is
I'm
by
glad
far,
you saved it to the end.
It is by far the most important story on Free Talk Live all week long.
In our lifetime.
In perhaps even the lifetime of the known universe.
Oh, my goodness.
It's that compelling of a headline. It is
Let's hear it.
One of the most, it's got to be, I want to write a song.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
That is this headline.
You haven't seen the Telegram chat?
No.
This is the headline now. Railroad worker rescues raccoon after the hair on its butt got frozen to the tracks.
Aw, poor guy.
Railroad worker rescues raccoon after the hair on its butt got frozen to the tracks. I was just trying to keep a beat to that.
Okay.
See if I can make it into a song. Railroad worker rescues raccoon after the hair on its butt got frozen to the tracks. It's not quite musical.
No,
Might have to shave
not quite.
shave a word or two off or
Shave
change
something off.
Yes. He was from the wrong side of the tracks.
trying to get to the wrong side of the tracks.
This is from goodnewsnetwork.org. Where do you... I don't even want to know.
No, Good News Network's good. Usually good stuff. It's a little bit...
Oh, I like that one, yeah.
It's sometimes they go a little heavy on state propaganda, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's just... I don't even know if I want to read the story.
The title says it all.
Railroad worker rescues raccoon, okay, after the hair on its butt... Who, the railroad worker?
No, the raccoon.
Or the raccoon.
Raccoon.
Right, got frozen to the tracks.
So just imagine you're trying to climb over railroad tracks and your little legs are a little too short to get all the way over and it's cold.
They do have a picture of this.
So you do a little
raccoon
pop
sort of
and a
straddling
right.
a single railroad track.
Right, and then all of a sudden you can't move because your butt crack hair froze to the railroad track and the train is inbound.
In order for that to have happened, it first needed to be moist, right? And then it needed to be like wintry out, right?
I think, well, it's definitely wintry out. I don't know how moist the butt hair on a raccoon is at any given time.
That's from the article.
Oh, we are going to get into it.
Railroad workers were able to rescue a stricken male raccoon after it became frozen to the tracks, stuck fast by the hair on its private parts.
Right in the taint. That's not one of the 7 words, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it is. The poor little bastard, right? You know,
Yeah.
like,
what a story to tell his raccoon friends. You're not going to believe what happened to me.
Right?
I was just trying to climb over the railroad tracks.
And do you think that maybe the next time he bumps into like the guy who found him and like sort of
gonna be a little
rescued him or
awkward.
whatever? No.
Do you make eye contact with
Do you
him at
think
that point?
he's going to become like his pet raccoon? Like they're going to have a, or do you think it'll be awkward eye
I think
contact?
it'll be awkward, yeah.
Okay. The animal was seen
That's
facing.
the thing you never talk about again. All right, bro, you can go back there, do whatever you need to do to get me unstuck, and then we don't tell the story to anybody.
We never speak of this.
Especially to the Good News Network.
I mean, I don't talk to raccoons very often, do you?
No, not particularly.
All right. The animal was seen facing the oncoming train carriage as it straddled one side of the track. Neil Mullis was out on the job when he came across the poor little guy. The traumatized-looking raccoon was eventually rescued after a 5-minute operation.
Wow.
Sounds like they performed surgery on him. Operation.
I mean, they got to get the hair removed from the track.
Can just take scissors?
I guessed that it was going to involve
Warm water?
And it says, quote, I poured the warm water under his bottom while a coworker worked the shovel under his butt to try and break him loose, said the 35-year-old.
Well, you don't want to get too close to the raccoon. It might be
Yeah.
like try to go on the offensive there.
Yeah, you want to have some distance, 5-foot pole or
All
something
right,
like
little
that.
guy, we're just going to pour some water on you.
Yeah.
Then we're going to scrape you off this railroad track with a shovel.
That's pretty much what happened. After about 5 minutes of slowly working him loose, he was free. He jumped off the rail and ran into the woods, never looking back.
See? Yeah.
Why would you look back?
How embarrassing.
Right?
Not even a wave. Thank you, guys.
Despite the rescue efforts from Neil and his colleagues, nobody could tell how or why the raccoon got into this predicament near Cochran, Georgia. Well, next time nobody's on the show, we'll have to ask him about this if nobody could
Like
tell
some
how.
of the patients Nikki brought up, like, we don't know how it got in there. I just accidentally sat on. I just sat on the railroad track.
Yeah, some of the medical insertions that come through.
Yeah.
Despite it was okay. I'm guessing because it was 10 degrees outside, somehow he was crossing over the rail and sat too long and got stuck. And
Sat too long.
They have a close-up picture
sat on it.
of like some fur stuck to the frozen to the track that they had to sort of snip off, if you will.
With a
I like how
shovel. They snipped it off with a shovel.
Why did they include that photo? That just seems like very
it's good
unnecessary.
It sounds painful. It really, I really feel bad for this little raccoon.
Yeah.
You know?
But he's free, didn't get hit by a train. Yay. Yay.
After inspecting the clumps of fur left on the rail, Neil summed it up by saying, "Operation well performed. Little fella is safe now."
Yep.
So there you go. The railroad worker rescues raccoon. So many things had to have happened for this to become a thing, right?
Okay.
The raccoon had to again have come into contact with some moisture somehow, then attempted to straddle this railroad track in such a way that it froze to the track.
To his bum.
Yeah, like how long did he sit on this track before he realized, I'm stuck?
Well, if it's 10 degrees, it may not have been that long.
Yeah.
Okay, but raccoons aren't known for their lack of nimbility or speed, right? Usually they would hurdle something like a railroad track rather lickety-split. Now, maybe it was injured or something.
Maybe he was climbing over, thought it was just a fart. It wasn't. Got stuck.
I'm almost wondering now, after having watched A Christmas Story, right, where the dude sticks his tongue to the, and gets stuck,
or Dumb and Dumber.
I'm wondering if there was another raccoon in this story that is unmentioned because the rail workers didn't know about it, who dared him to wet his butt and sit on the railroad track for a minute.
That's just dangerous.
I mean, it sounds like something one of your older, younger brother might put you up to as a kid.
Yeah, but at least with the pole, there's not like a train coming. You know?
I mean, it does add an element of danger.
Yeah.
More exciting,
the oncoming train, a little too much danger.
Maybe.
We've only got 5 minutes to rescue this little guy. What are we going to do?
I mean, raccoons do look like little bandits, and so maybe he had a gambling debt that he hasn't repaid yet, and the little raccoon mafia abducted him.
Raccoon Snidely Whiplash tied him to the railroad track.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
We don't even need rope. Just wet his butt a little bit.
Just wet his butt and make him sit there, and he'll be stuck. And when the train comes along,
just hold him. Hold him down until he's stuck.
Yeah. Train to make him into flat coon. Flat raccoon. Flat coon?
It was a beef with the squirrels in the area. It was a gang hit.
He had a beef with the squirrels.
Or Chip was it Chippendale? The little
Oh yeah, what are they? Chipmunks?
Chipmunks? Yeah.
CHIPMUNK, not CHIPMONK.
Chipmunk.
Chipmunks are they wear the robes with the hoods and they pray a lot, and they're chipmunks, not chipmunks. Right? Yeah. So just there's a difference between the two.
From the Dorito region of France or something.
Yeah, they don't really talk about it much. But, there's a chipmunk monastery.
Okay.
But if you ever want to find it, maybe they'll answer your questions. I don't know.
Not if they don't talk that much.
Perhaps they know what happened to this raccoon. Perhaps they know. We don't know.
Well, it ran off into the woods.
It did.
We'll see. It just turns into like a little raccoon fetish. Hey, I got that dude to rub my butt. I'm going to go hop on the railroad track again.
One last thing we had to mention tonight is this from RT.com. The University of Southern California's School of Social Work apparently has banned the word field, as in football field or field of greens or
field of study.
Yes, field of study, yes. Yeah. The University of Southern California explained the move by the need to reflect anti-racist values.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's because black people worked in the field.
I've worked in a field. I've run on a field.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's like saying we have to ban cotton balls because of the history.
Because of balls?
Yes, because of balls. No, because of the history of slaves picking cotton.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Polyester.
Do
you remember when the phrase cotton picking was a substitute for cussing?
I think it still is.
Well, but it's racist.
Oh, okay.
Right? So no longer. When's the last time you heard anybody say cotton picking?
Probably on an old movie of some kind.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. So, but way back in the day, that was an accepted substitute for cussing.
Okay.
Right?
Which word? I mean, you don't have to say the word, but which word did it replace?
I mean, it could have been any of them, really.
Okay.
But it was certainly a reference to
that cotton picking son of a guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
that cotton picking Dave, he stole my wrench again or something.
Okay.
Right? You know what I mean? Could be a substitute for anything, really.
All right.
But it is rooted in racism because the whole reason the phrase cotton picking has that sort of connotation to it is because they were comparing you to a slave.
Oh.
So, the university...
We need to do the same with taxpayer.
Oh,
that
nice.
tax-paying son of a guy.
Yeah, we should do that. Oh, yeah? You sound like a taxpayer.
We're starting a trend. Use it. Spread it into the wild.
University of Southern California School of Social Work announced Monday that it is removing the word field, as in conducting field work, from its curriculum and practice and replacing it with the word practicum.
Because that won't get used.
Because that's not a portmanteau at all of two different words put together for the wrong reasons. Practicum.
Practical curriculum?
It's just like not the same word.
You just think about that for a while. It's not the same word. Removing it from its practice and saying that it may have racist connotations.
He is working in the practicum
of
applied sciences.
I think saying that it has racist connotations is racist in itself.
I think saying that has it is racist in itself.
But you know what I mean? It's part of the left when they get so woke that they come full circle racist.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, well, we have to protect the black people from all this stuff. No, you don't.
Yeah, the word field, I mean, like, I haven't thought about it in the terms of anything other than, like, a football field or a field of dreams or, you know, a meadow, something like that.
Well, I mean,
until I read this.
The computer technology field, right, has done something similar. Yeah, the computer technology practicum has done something similar as well, right? There's no longer master and slave drives, right, in your computers, primary and secondary or whatever.
I guess I can see that more. I mean, but it's still like...
It's an inaccurate description.
It is.
One controls the other.
Yeah.
It's not a primary and a secondary.
Right, yeah. One is definitely master, one is definitely slave. Particularly in the audio industry, prior to the digital revolution, you could have a maximum of 24 tracks on a piece of 2-inch tape, like literal reel-to-reel tape. And if you wanted more than 24 tracks, you would have to have 2 tape machines, 2 reels of tape, and 2 consoles capable of supporting 24 individual channels. You would have to sacrifice 1 channel on each board for what we call time code, SMPTE time code. That's SMTPE, Society of Motion Picture Technology, something, whatever. It was time code. So you'd stripe one of the tracks of tape with time code and then one of the tracks of the other tape with time code, and that's how you synced them together. So when you pressed record, both the machines would operate at the exact same time and record everything at the same time so you could play it back at the same time. All 48 tracks could be played back at the same time. That was referred to as master and slave. And I think still might be because it's such an old technology now that the digital revolution is coming. You can get way more.
Didn't come to it.
You can get way more than 48 tracks in the digital domain. So only old school analog people refer to this sort of striping of time code to synchronize 2 analog machines together as master and slave. So I'm assuming it's just because it's old that the phrasing has remained.
And also applicable, right? If one controls the other,
right?
One is clearly the master, one is clearly the slave.
Right. This change, this from the article, the change supports anti-racist social work practice by replacing language that could be considered anti-black or anti-immigrant in favor of inclusive language, the department explained in a letter shared by Dr. Hauman David Hamadi on Twitter. Language can be powerful, and phrases such as going into the field or field work may have connotations for descendants of slavery and immigrant workers that are not benign.
I mean,
it's a much better field.
And anything can have connotations for anything.
We're out of time. Thank you to the listeners and the callers. Thank you, Richie Rich. Thank you, Nikki, for joining me on this episode of Free Talk Live. If you missed any part of tonight's show, please visit freetalklive.com for the archives. Thanks and peace.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night.
from there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.